Welcome to the Talk and Chatter experience, powered by Gasoline Alley Harley Davidson. Today's guest is a returning guest. It's Bryan Farrow from Show 001 of Talk and Chatter. When Bryan got home from the Finke Desert Race in June, we got the opportunity to sit down and discuss how the event went. I'm super proud on what Bryan's achieved here, and basically everything else that he sort of puts his mind to, he seems to achieve with his family. He's a great character for our sport. Hope you all enjoy the show. Welcome, Bryan Farrow.
Hey.
Actually, start again. Welcome back, Bryan Farrow.
Yeah, a few times now.
Mate, you're my first guest that's actually a double up, which is awesome. So thanks for coming back on.
No worries, my pleasure. I've been frothing it. It's been going really good for you. I'm wrapped.
Can you believe it's 14 months since we did this?
Nah, we were talking about that earlier. I can't believe it's gone that quick.
Nah.
I feel like we blinked our eyes. And then you think, like, in that time, it's like, shit, so much has happened. It's awesome.
It's pretty cool. And last time when we spoke, you were explaining hooligan bikes to me.
Yep.
Now I've been fortunate enough to have a go on one.
Yep.
I'd say against you, but I've seen you as you've gone past me a few times.
I don't know
Covered
about
me
that.
in dirt. But yeah, we've been fortunate enough to do some stuff in that period of time, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, got out to bang some bars.
It's
the
cool.
Best. Absolutely.
Part of today is a Finke catch up. You've just done something that same deal we spoke of in the first show.
Yep.
And it was Show 001.
Yep.
Let's just get straight into it, mate. Congratulations on
Thank you.
achieving a dream.
Yep.
And a bucket list for a lot of people. Tell us about it.
Yeah, and impossible for a lot of people. The amount of people that...
Yeah.
Even my close mates beforehand were like, oh, I've been out there. I really don't think you're going to be able to do it, you know? Like,
wow.
And so that just fueled my fire. And so, but it's brilliant, mate. I'll start from the beginning. So obviously I've wanted to do it for a long time.
Yep.
As I said in the first show, me and Dean Ross in the States, belly full of beers, thought it'd be a good idea. And then, so it's kind of been gearing up for it for a bit. Obviously, last year it got cancelled because of COVID. So nothing happened there. Put it on the back burner. Pretty much forgot about it until the hype starts coming around. Finke's on again.
Yep.
And then I was always planning to do it on my Sportster, obviously. And then Gavin Walker turned up on the doorstep with Seth Enslow's old bike and Kane Saul's old bike. So he pulled that out and said, let's do it on this. And, you know,
Mate.
To get the chance to ride a bike. Seth was my idol as a kid, as most of us.
Yeah.
And so 10-year-old Bryan would have kicked my ass if I didn't plonk my ass on it and race it, you know? Like, yeah, so very fortunate.
So is that literally how it come about? Gav came in and here's the bike?
Literally. So Gav not turned up on my doorstep, but pretty much turned up on the doorstep, and he'd sold his dealership down in Mildura, Quick Fix. So then Gavin Walker's like a legend of sport. Like everyone in the Harley scene knows Gavin Walker. Like he's done so much for the scene over the years, and still doing it, obviously, helping me do Finke. So he turned up, a couple of containers, and we're going through it. And next minute I see this XR1200 and I was just like a kid in a candy store. I was like, oh, I know that bike.
Wow.
So wheeled it out and straight away, because he's just a frother. Like he just loves it through and through, you know. Anything where all the stupid stuff, he's all for. So
Pushing the boundaries.
yeah, absolutely. Yep. Like he's had that bike out. He done a lap around Hadar on that bike actually, which is arguably harder than Finke, you know. Like the Hadar race is arguably harder than Finke, but he did a lap of it. Like he's not shy.
Wow, because a lot of people do say that, that Hadar it's a compact event compared, but difficulty is extreme. You know?
Yeah, so I've never seen Hadar or anything, so I don't know. That's just Gav's done it all, and that's just what he says, you know.
Yep.
So, and I take that as the truth. So,
yep.
But yeah, so he ripped it out. We pretty much started probably the start of the year, I reckon, just dabbling with it, taking it out, riding around the car park, getting it running, servicing it, getting it ready, and then started riding it on the dirt. So, as you know, there's nothing around here that compares to Finke, and we didn't want to go up the beach until we at least knew it was going to handle a rough fire trail, you know?
Yep.
So we just started riding it, bringing it back. I'd break numerous things, would start. JD was here, and so JD's a vet. He's a legend. He's, as I was saying before, he's like Rain Man. The guy can just do everything. Like, so he would literally disassemble the whole bike just about, catalog everything, record like what was bent, what was broken, what we wanted to break, what we wanted to bend, because if that bent, it means I didn't lose a foot peg, or if that broke, it means I didn't break a primary cover, or like, so he was all over that side of things. So all I literally had to do was go out, thrash it, bring it back, hand it to him, leave him be, and go do my job, you know, like.
Damn.
So he was kind of like the secret weapon in the background, JD.
So when you were testing stuff, like, tell me about testing. Like, I don't understand testing, but you're testing parts. You're not just testing yourself, I guess. There's a lot to it, eh?
Oh, absolutely, especially with that, because there's so much unknown. So one bit of a mistake we made is we were testing for the whoops, you know, like trying to make things stiff enough and strong enough to handle the whoops.
Yep.
Which then we sacrifice a lot of plushness and feel for like corrugation, and that's the biggest killer in Finke, turns out. So I thought the whoops would be,
yeah.
Because I couldn't skim them anyway, it kind of just come to the jarry stuff. So we would go out and, like I say, just try and break everything I could. So I'd try and find a ledge or a jump or a really bad section of trail,
yeah.
And just pound it so that we could work out what was going to happen, you know. Like, we went out, because Rock Suspension, they would come with me every time. They would like video the bike, play it in slow-mo, watch how the suspension would work, and they only had, like, we could only work with what we had. We didn't have the budget to go and put all the crazy shocks on and everything like that.
Yeah.
So with what we had, Rock Suspension did far beyond what I thought we could achieve, you know. From day one to day of racing Finke is like chalk and cheese with the suspension. So when we're testing, you're basically just trying to destroy it as much as possible. Yep. It's like training for a fight, I would guess, you know, like you're just getting beat up in the gym, and then fight days, hopefully you don't get that beat up, you know, like.
Did that feel foreign to you? Going out to break something?
Yeah. Well, not just testing felt foreign for me. Like, even for hooligan racing, most of the time, mate, I just turn up. Like, the bike's got a flat battery, you know, not full on that bad, but like I don't really do any testing unless something's broken and my bike feels terrible. I never really change anything, you know. So it was definitely foreign for me. Even racing motocross, I wouldn't really change a clicker, because once something works, I just have a weird thing about not...
Just leave it.
Don't fuck with it. Just leave it alone, you know? Like, where a lot of other people, which is a really good thing, like to play one way, play the other way, and, you know, you'll go backwards and forwards and work out what works. So, yeah, it was definitely foreign for me. And it felt weird because it's kind of like... It kind of felt a bit like factory, you know? Like, it felt like a bit more than what, you know, I'm used to, that's for sure.
Because, you know, like you work to do this, you know, it's your business is you know, as well. Like, it's to try and be like a factory sort of rider. It's a different thing, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And like I say, the support I had around me basically made me feel like that, you know, like from Gavin to Gabriel and Lockie at Rock Suspension, and Roxy at Rock Suspension, to everyone in here, to everybody, like even the boys out the back, if I was doing something and they would be all over it, you know, they'd be like, yep, get out there, go. Like, there was no sense of, oh, Brian's leaving work to go ride his motorcycle, you know, like there was none of that. It just, the support is crazy, mate. So I literally felt like I was like the little factory dude that could just rock out and go do what I needed to do. Yep. Yeah, which was awesome.
Tell me a bit more about the bike. So we're talking XR1200.
Yep.
Obviously done some crazy stuff in its time.
Yep.
What's the forks on it?
So it's got factory KYBs on it. So because back when Seth and Kane, well, obviously Seth did the world record jump on it.
Yep.
So, and then Kane Saul did the world's first Harley backflip on that bike. So when they were doing all that, there was obviously, especially with Seth, there was a lot of interest from America.
Yep.
So they had factory KYBs on there. So it wasn't until Gabriel pulled them down and was like, holy shit, these, you can't buy this stuff. Like, this is crazy.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. So I had no idea. Gav knew, so Gav had like the little smirk, you know, like
Cheeky.
That's what's up, you know. Yep. So the forks are factory KYBs with really heavy duty aluminium triple trees.
Yep.
So those triple trees are roughly 10 kilos each. Like they are, there's a lot of weight in them. Because Seth was doing record jumps with all his dirt bikes, he would always snap his triple trees. Gav reckoned that was the only weakness, so he went above and beyond to make sure there was no possible way he was going to break a triple tree on Gav's bike, you know. And that's like Gav's either 0 or 1,000. Like he's not going to do things 99%, you know.
All in.
Yeah, absolutely. So he went above and beyond to make sure that was never going to fail. And then and obviously got motocross bars on it. We put some bark busters on it, mainly to save levers when we crashed. Because obviously trees and stuff out at Finke, they're going to hit you and sting you, but they're not going to rip you off. There's not like, if you're that far off the track, you actually hit a tree, you're very unlikely, you know, you're way off course. So we did that, and then the back end wise extended the swing arm. So Gav extended the swing arms years ago, which just gives it more travel and more stability with obviously the jumps and with what we're doing, because it's a higher speed. And then we actually had a lot of dramas with the swing arm. I kept destroying the spherical bearings. So the bearings that actually mount the swing arm to the bike. So they go into the rear engine mount. So the rear engine mounts, Gav had already designed solid plastic inserts that went into the rubber mount. So it still had flex and movement, but not as much, so that it wasn't rigid, but it was way stronger because the engine mounts would just collapse, you know. So but next to that is these spherical bearings so that they can move and do everything they need to do for the swing arm. And then so I kept just with the side force, extended swing arm, big 150 adventure bike tire on the back in the sand, moving like at, you know, anywhere from sort of 80 Ks to 130, 40 Ks an hour, you know, in the sand. So just that force just kept blowing them out. And we actually would blow out the housing where the spherical bearing would meet in the swing arm and the bearing itself. So we ended up getting rid of that, changing the whole design of the bolts, putting roller bearings in there. So the roller bearings, obviously a lot stronger design. And the beauty of that was they were sealed. So obviously going out to Finke, sealed roller bearings, sand.
Dust contaminants.
Exactly, that's the go. So so we got that sorted, and then actually snapped the swing arm 3 days before we were meant to leave for Finke. So 3 days before, I'm standing there with a massive crack through the left side of the swing arm, freaking out. I rang my mate Mike Vanderberg, and he's in the welding world. He had a mate, I'll think of his name later, and we ran it out to him, proper legend, welded it up straight away, sorted it all out. I was probably 4 hours, dropped it off, went back and got it.
Wow.
Bought it all 2 days before the race, you know, like, so, well, not before the race, before we had to leave, before the truck had to leave to get there.
Jeez.
So I was thinking, we've done all this work for all these months, 2 days before we're meant to leave, we might not be going.
For a swing arm.
Just for a swing arm.
Damn.
So, so I was freaking out. Same thing, like all the boys, the JD in particular, was like, don't worry about it, mate. It's going to be fine. It's no problem. Like he was all over it. He knew my headspace needed to be 110% on casual, calm. You're about to do the hardest thing in your life you've ever done. Like, just relax, mate. This is going to be fine.
Far out.
And so, which was awesome. So we got all that sorted. So then the swing arm was sorted. Apart from that, we put steg pegs on. So our form of steg pegs was just go to the skate bike shop, buy some big skateboard, like longboard wheels. Chucked them on, made them up to where I felt comfortable. We changed them a few times just because I wasn't sure. I'd never ridden with steg pegs, so I wasn't really sure where they were meant to be and where I wanted them.
Did you use them?
Yes,
Big
flat
time?
out. Yeah. Saves your arms. So you literally just lean into them and just let go with your hands. Your hands essentially go, not limp, but pretty much, and you just let the bike float, you know. So the steg pegs are essential out there with that style of riding because you're going as fast as you can through deep sand. As soon as you death grip, you're going backwards.
Wow.
Yeah, and then apart from that, North Coast Custom Trim put some foam in a seat for me, but not too much because you sat on it. It's so tall.
Oh, mate.
When it kicks you in the ass, I literally, the first or second time we went out test, hit this little sharp bump, did a handstand, proper handstand on the bars for half the length of the office, 10 metres, full handstand, and I couldn't fall. I couldn't go forward, I couldn't go back. 60, 70 Ks an hour. Just come back down on the bike. So if you put any more in that, you're over the bars.
Yep.
With a good whack.
Load it up, it's all over.
Oh, absolutely.
And I guess when you got that weight, all that central weight up the front as well,
Yep.
everything's waiting up there,
Yep. The front of the bike's so heavy. If you see any videos of it, it looks like it's ploughing. It literally looks like it's a bulldozer, Like we would joke out there that after I went through the whoops, you'd want to go because there'd be a flat section, Like
yeah, the guys behind you are laughing.
Yeah, I literally flattened them out. But it's just so heavy in the front. The whole design of that Harley, literally, you can as soon as you look at it, it's just like it looks like 70% of the weight is over that front wheel, Yeah.
Huge.
Yep.
Mate, testing at the beach.
Yep.
What was it like at the beach?
Awesome.
It would have been good, wouldn't it?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So up the beach was great. So obviously you get there and I'm like, I don't really know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
Bit like most of the things, like you're unsure until you try. So got there, just went straight to the hard sand, obviously, work out, okay, this is
Get some
sand.
feel. Yep.
Yeah, and then started getting comfy there and then just slowly sneak up softer and softer and softer. So then got to a point where it like going good pace, experienced dirt. Like my KDM 250 will only do 120 Ks in soft sand, fifth gear, flat out. But you hit 6, you go backwards. Like that's all it would do. And there were times on the Harley you'd be doing over 130, allegedly. So it definitely rips through the sand because it's got the power. But as soon as you slow down, it buries. Anything under 60 Ks an hour in that soft sand, you're just doing everything you can to get above 60 again because it's so deep in the sand.
Wow.
Yep. So there's a track up there, King Bore, we rode, and that's got a bit of everything. You've been there. It's got from soft white beach sand to roots to rocks to sand to hard pack to hills. Good loop, you know. It's kind of really good training for Finke. Like I say, nothing will simulate it, but it's good for us here. And so even up there, like some of them slow corners where it's whooped and sandy and it's a handful, mate. Like, because it just wants to plough you down.
Damn.
And you want to be on top, and you can't.
It's like a boat.
It literally
Getting
is
up on the plane.
Yeah, exactly. Because you want to get up on top of the sand, out of the water, essentially, and you've got a 10-ton boat with a 8 horsepower motor. Like it's going to take you half an hour to get on top.
So once you're on top, what is the ride like?
Good. It's actually really good up the beach. Yeah. It's the boys behind me reckons it looks scary as hell. So because the back's just moving, but I don't really, because it's so long as well. Like a small movement where I am at the seat is going to be huge at the back.
True. Yeah. Yep.
But it goes good, and you just got to keep it pegged. Like even on the cut-ins, they're just whooped out, like tracked out with full drive tracks. Yep. And I'll be going across them. Fine. It just pushed its way through because it's so soft.
Yep.
That'll whoop like a proper little roller whoop section on the other side, and we're going through there flying, and it'll get like wheel over, double over a couple.
Yep.
And it was great. But I tried that at Finke. Because there's so many of them, I just picked up too much speed. Once you double one or roll a couple, you're going way too fast. Next minute you're lock to lock with everything, hoping you're not going to die. 200
kilos.
Well, it's close to 300 kilos. So the bike's 264 kilos out of the factory.
You're a madman.
Right? So out of the factory, there's a big debate on this on the Finke page.
Really?
Yeah, people, so it's close to 300 kilos, right?
Yep.
So 264 kilos the bike.
Yep.
Those triple trees are almost 10 kilos each.
For sure.
74, 84, plus the forks, plus everything else. Like, it's so close to 300 kilos.
Man, that's a lot of weight.
And anyone that wants to argue it can come ride it.
Yeah, for sure. Sit on it.
Yeah.
I sat on it this morning, and just the height, like... standing up on the pegs, I said it to you before, would be scary.
Yep.
It's just high. It's so big. Like it's an amazing. What a feat.
Yep.
Seriously.
Yep. Yeah. And that's one thing as well. Like people, you understand even more the monster once you sit on it, let alone
Yep.
even ride it around the car park. The first time I rode it around the car park here, I was like, oh no, this thing is...
Seriously?
Oh yeah, I was like, this thing is scary to ride around the car park. It doesn't turn. I've got no lock. I was on lock going, oh, that's all I've got. And like, that's just in the car park.
So that front wheel tyre,
Yep.
that's what Seth would have run? Same sort of setup? Or has that changed a bit?
No, very similar setup,
Similar,
that's
okay,
right.
yep.
Yep. So he ran a bit more of a chunkier knob, more so for looks, I believe, because they were jumping ramp to ramp. They realistically probably could have done it on more of a road style tyre, I'd imagine.
Yep.
But they just look really cool, you know,
Yep.
big, chunky, suits Seth style down to a T, look badass.
Mad Max, mate.
Yeah,
When I
100%
said it this
Mad
morning,
Max.
I'm like, it's Mad Max. When
Yep.
you're talking about weight, the other part too is all the components, the other parts that you've put on for longevity to try and keep it together.
Yep.
I guess as well.
Yep,
you know?
absolutely.
But
Even like that front brake caliper mount.
Yeah, the mount. Yep.
So the first time I rode it, it had like sort of, they didn't have to use brakes, you know, they're doing one jump. They're
Yeah.
not like, they're not worried about longevity.
Yep.
So the first time I rode it, been in storage too, so I could have got a bit of a whack. The front wheel, every time I'd leave the ground a little bit, would lock up. So I'm like ripping along this section, going through like small whoops, almost big stutters, you would say, and it would be going every time I'd go over them, but I didn't want to pack it up because the first time I just wanted to ride it as much as I possibly can because
Get laps.
it was the first time I used it. I wanted to see what would break, what I could break, what it felt like, and I was having too much fun. So JD made all that up on the mill. Like, that thing's a piece of art. When you take it off, it's got all countersunk holes to hold the caliper and holds the front end, and it will never break and it will never fall off. You'd have to break the forks for that to come off.
So what happens to that bike now? Does it retire?
I don't know. I know Gav was leading with the idea of putting it in a museum,
Yeah.
and I really hope he does. I don't think what I've done with it chalks up anywhere near what Seth and especially Kane. To be honest, I think what Kane's done with it
The backflip thing.
is that's the holy grail. Like, I think that's the biggest feat, and closely by what Seth did with it, obviously, not taking anything away from that. But I just think backflipping that bike is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Whatever money he got paid to do it probably wasn't enough, and I'm sure he got paid plenty. So, I hope it does go in a museum, more so for what they've done with it, just because I don't think anyone's backflipped a Harley since, and that thing weighs a ton. Like, you're better off doing it on a Sporty. You're almost better off doing it on a old Dyna. Like, it's so heavy. I hope it goes in a museum, and I'm super proud that my name can be on that, you know, like...
For sure.
Like I said the other day, the other year, searching for something. It's obviously one of the things I was sort of searching for, you know, is to do a bit of a world first.
Yep.
And obviously me and Dean Ross, he did come in to Finke before I did.
Yep.
So I don't know how that works out, but we both did Finke for the
You've both
first
done it
time.
on a Harley.
On a Harley, you know, like, so yeah, it's crazy.
Mate, it's huge.
Yeah.
How'd your training go? That was a big thing we were talking about last year. You were
Yep.
talking about going through the motions of doing that. How'd you
Yep.
go this year?
Yeah, good. So same thing. I started from a shit base. Like, I was so unfit, mate. Like,
I think you said last year piss fit was the thing.
piss, still was definitely piss fit.
Okay.
So I was hooligan racing fit, that's for sure. Like,
Perfect. Yeah. Good base.
Yeah. So Levite 547 performance, same as last time, mate. Honestly, I haven't felt this good in my adult life. You know, like ate well, trained twice a week, kept active with other things, but not really. You know, the main thing was riding and training twice a week. And even my eating wasn't like gnarly 400 grams of chicken and all that shit. I just ate consciously, you know, like instead of getting a pie and a caramel tart, I would get a wrap, you know, like it wasn't that crazy. I dropped 16 kilos. So from so I went from 103 to 87. So, and I wasn't trying to lose weight. Like, I was trying to build strength. So I definitely wasn't actively trying to drop the kilos. The first time I think I weighed myself, I was 103 before training and a little bit before training, because I never used to weigh myself. Scales were just sitting there. And then I would have weighed myself and I was probably like 92 kilos or something. I was like, holy shit. I've lost a heap of weight. I didn't even realise, you know. And that's when I sort of started to keep a bit more of an eye on it because I was just wanted to see how much I would lose.
You need new riding gear.
Yeah,
you like to drop the size.
Well, I mainly dropped, like I seem to carry all my weight in my midriff, so mainly
right.
my hips kind of stay the same and all just above, you know. I get the full
hips
dad
don't
bod.
lie.
Yeah. So I get the Shakira hips happening. But that was mate, and Levi, he does tailored programs for like people like Kurt Gibbs and Jesse Dobson and like Wilson Todd overseas and stuff like that. So, and plus he'll do tailored programs for like Chris Reading was another bloke that was there training and he was doing Finke, you know, like, and he smashed it. I don't know his exact results, so I won't bugger that up, but he did really well, you know. And so he does programs for whatever you're doing, mountain biking, surfing, motorbikes, road bikes, whatever you need at home, in the gym, whatever, you know. So he's the man and he's a sports scientist, like he's a freak. So
proper person that can actually tell you the right things.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then, even like eating, he can give you tailored eating programs. And then all the powders and stuff I put in my Camelback, he makes up. So he gives you what you need to get through. He's done the race. He knows what carbs you need, what electrolytes, all that stuff. So he's got like, drink that half an hour before the race. Put this in your Camelback. Make sure you drink your whole Camelback in the race, you know?
Yep.
On Camelbacks, I actually use... Have you heard of SoulStream?
I never did until your post.
Yeah.
So what is it? It's a button. Is that right?
Yeah. So obviously riding the Finke, like the... I was about to say Finke bike, the Harley at Finke.
Yeah.
You don't want to take your hands off the bars. So you're cruising along. You kind of want to sit down, grab your Camelback, put it in your mouth, grab back on, drink it for a bit, spit it out, right? It doesn't really happen. Like, I didn't really sit down... Fuck all. Like, you can't sit down on that bike.
Seriously, like, we'll get to the race part, but are you just on the whole time?
Yeah, pretty much,
Yeah, okay.
So, but that SoulStream, so with him supplying that, and he's like, you have to drink it, I was freaking out. I'm like, how am I going to... I'm going to have to be grabbing it all the time, you know?
Yeah.
Right after Prologue, Gav and Sandy found this bloke selling these SoulStreams. So we actually ended up putting it all together. He come out all the way out to the car park, ran through it with us, how it all works, and it's like a bubbler. So you press the button and it just squirts into your mouth. You just open your mouth and drink it. Even then I was like, I don't know how that's going to work, you know. It kind of sounds messy. But it wasn't. It was great. The first couple were strange, and then it was the best thing I ever did. We actually wired it up to my indicator button. So I'm just ripping along, hitting the left indicator. Pretty much every time it got dusty and I wanted to clean my goggles or something, I'd drink. I just sort of maybe like a quarter of the way in, maybe a bit longer. That was kind of just, I just went, I need to clean my goggles. Every time I do that, I'm going to drink water. So it just kept me drinking.
Wow.
Yeah. So then like, because there's lots of little things like that you're in your mind, you know? So, so got that and that worked great. So I was able to take in all the sustenance that he gave me. Then the night at the other end, he gave me a full program what to eat. So I took certain foods with me to help with inflammation and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, the training side of things was massive.
Wow.
And I'm actually going to get back into it next week and keep it going, you know.
I was going to ask you that. Did you take the time off when you got home?
I actually went straight back to training on the Monday after we got home. So we raced, obviously, the Sunday, Monday.
Yes.
We got back on whatever day it was, and then that weekend, then went back on the Monday. I probably shouldn't have. I was too tired. I was knackered, mate. I was so sore afterwards and tired, and so then I just took the rest of that week off, and then COVID hit, so give me 2 weeks off.
For sure. Yeah.
Which has been great.
I reckon too, like, I don't know if it's the right word, but like emotional fatigue. Like you've had like 6 months. And then it just stops. You're just knackered. You know, everything. Mental fatigue, probably. That's probably better.
But it is emotional fatigue too.
You're just
absolutely.
gone.
Like, mate, the emotions in that race are crazy. So the emotional fatigue, after it was all done, smoke had settled, the hype's gone, back to normal life, you know, like it was like, it was like the weight's off, but you're tired, you know, like. So I said to the boys, once I even got back to work, I thought I was fine. I'm like, I am knackered. Like, I'm proper knackered. And they're like, no.
You should be.
Wonder.
But
I felt fine sitting at home. Like, and so, it probably took, realistically, it's probably just now that I'm over it. It took a few weeks.
What about cleaning? How long did it take to clean everything?
Oh, ages. Yeah, we're still cleaning. So that dirt and dust, that red dirt,
Yep.
it just gets everywhere, you know, like the kids, the pram, the bike, the everything. Yeah.
Just gone. Yeah.
Gone. We got that, see that truck we had?
Yes, I'm going to talk to you about this thing.
Oh.
So Daimler Sunshine Coast?
Exactly, yep.
What was it like, apart from one of the best looking trucks going around?
So it's the Mitsubishi Canter. So it's
All-wheel drive, four-wheel drive.
Four-wheel drive, massive, like jacked up, big wheels.
So did you put the bike in the tray?
Yep.
And
Bike went in the tray.
Jamie, yourself?
No, so we
How'd
flew.
you
So my dad, his mate, Robbo and JD all went in the cars, and Gav and Sandy.
Yep.
So because it's a 7-seater, but they took 3 cars because everyone sort of wanted their own car. And then so they went up, they went across the Plenty Highway, everything like that.
Yep.
Never once put in full drive, never locked the whole trip, never put in full drive, never locked the hubs, nothing.
In that thing?
Yep. Doing
Unreal.
120 k's an hour down the Plenty the whole way.
Wow.
Yep. Like it just...
What a machine.
It is on the service road. The service road's worse than the track in some spots. And they're ripping along because I'm riding the track. They're ripping along, follow me. It just blasted, mate. That honestly, like, it... I know everyone's always going to say, like, oh, they've given me this truck to use. It's the best thing in the world. That thing is actually the best thing in the world. Like, it's unbelievable. As soon as we got back, I'm buying it. I just want to buy it. So I can't afford it, but I want to buy it.
I was going to say to you, would that be something you'd buy?
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, but keep the budget out of it. That would be something that you'd like.
Oh, I'd buy that over Cruiser every day of the week.
Wow.
So that's $100,000 as it sits.
Wow, it's
That's
cheaper
with
than a
the
Cruiser.
tent, the annex, all that, the like roof rack style things that come all the way over the front.
Wow.
The boxes, got a winch,
Brand new?
ramps. Yeah, well, it's demo, but
Demo,
brand new, yeah.
yeah.
And then what else has got? Suspension, bracing on the diffs. Like the list goes on, you know. Like
You don't even get a grab handle in a Cruiser for $100,000.
that's right.
It's a 79.
And it's a 7-seater. It's got like the air seat. The driver's got like the
Was it
truckie's
comfy?
air seat. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Comfy. Yeah. The more loaded up, the better it is. So
Okay.
obviously, so they can set them up any way you want.
Yep.
So if you were doing it a family vehicle, you're only going to put a dirt bike on the back and camping gear.
Yeah.
Then you'd probably set it up a little bit softer, you know, like depending on where you're headed to, obviously. So yeah, they would set it up any way you want.
I like that sort of vehicles. That's me. I think
Yep.
that's just. I don't really care for other things too much, but
Yep.
that would be like the perfect thing just to do everything that I'd want to do.
Yeah,
You
feel
know,
like a
I look-
legend driving it too because you're so high.
Yeah, it's massive.
You pull up next to a truck, you're just looking straight in their window like, hey.
With an XR1200 on the back.
Yeah, mate. That truck probably got as much publicity as the bike. You know, like the amount of people that would come up to talk
Yep.
about the truck or to talk about the bike was insane. Like,
Really?
no matter where we went. Yeah, 140k mark. There were some guys driving, had no idea Finke was even on, just cruising along in their cruisers.
Yep.
They all pulled up just to quiz everything they could about the truck.
Yeah.
Because they're all doing big. They're all retired, I presume, doing big tours. All they wanted to know is what is the truck, what's been done.
Yep.
Because we went flying past them. They're in full drive, cruising along.
What's this thing?
So yeah, it was great. Yeah, hands down, best vehicle. Absolutely.
Mate, yeah. Actually, who did the photos? Who did the night photos of that?
James Robinson. So Fireball Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yep. So
They were pretty cool.
yeah, James Robinson Photography. Like he's a good mate of ours, and he smashed it. Like he used to do a lot of weather and nighttime photography.
Yep.
And he'd never really done any sports style photography before.
Yep.
Did you see that photo we got of Toby Price in the truck?
In the truck? Is that one of his?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and blasting the roof all the way above the cherry picker.
Was this out at
Prologue?
the prologue section?
Yeah, so his photos were crazy. He actually just sent me through a heap, and even flying along, you zoom in,
Yep.
it's clear, crystal clear.
Nice.
So yeah, he did all the photos, that nighttime photo of the trucks.
That was cool.
Bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As soon as I seen that, I'm like, man, this is a pretty cool looking thing. I wonder who did that, you know, because
Yeah, so Robbo did it. Yeah,
the night stuff's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
the whole lot's hard to me. I can't take a photo. So I thought it was just press the button, but it's not that
A
easy.
bit more, but
Yeah.
that's all good. Tell me about the trip out. Did they have a good time?
Yeah, so they loved it. So they just sort of pulled up wherever they wanted.
No stress.
My old man hasn't really had a holiday in I don't know how long, so it was great, mate. As like from the first one, I got very fortunate to have my dad, you know. So
Yep.
it was awesome seeing him just loving it. He just loved the whole trip.
The whole thing?
Your whole thing, mate.
Yep.
He was proud as punch. He loved to just get away with the boys and pull up at a pub, have enough beers to put him to sleep and get up and do it again the next day. Yeah.
Because it's a haul and a half.
He drove the whole way.
Really?
But there's more people in the car.
But he did the whole...
He did the whole way. Like, he just loves it. Yeah. Loves... Him and my brother are the same. They can just hop behind a car and drive through the night.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, your brother, I've only met him a couple of times now.
Yeah.
But what a dude, eh?
Yeah, he's a legend.
One of the hardest handshakes going around too.
Yeah.
Just broke me this morning.
Yeah. Especially early.
Yeah.
Like,
cold, wet hands.
Yeah, that's the old man. The old man always. Firm handshake. Look him in the eye. Yeah. Clip you on the ear if you didn't.
Fink,
Yep.
you get there, what happens? Like we've gone through the development, tuning the bike, everything like that. What happens when you actually get out there, to Alice anyway?
We got there basically Wednesday Arvo, right, by the time we got there. They lost our luggage, right? So we get there with 2 kids. It's freezing, middle of the day freezing.
In the desert?
In the middle of the desert with 1 bag of clothing, and luckily it had probably a day's worth of kids' clothes in it, and then our jackets, which was lucky. So we get there, gin around trying to work out where all that is and organise all that, get to the shops, buy the kids' stuff so that they're warm and everything like that, and then get to our accommodation, sort all that out. The day's done. So Thursday morning, got up, loaded the truck, got all the stuff off the truck, just loaded what we needed for the day, went out to the old start line. Mm-hmm. So got there, sort of got the team together, worked out what we're going to do. We're going to ride from here, and then met up with... So Roxy from Rock Suspension was out there as well, with her partner Joe, who was racing. Right. So he's a legend. He met me there. He was there way before I was there because I told him I was going to be there earlier, and didn't happen. So poor bugger's sitting there waiting, and it's freezing, like it's proper cold.
Seriously, it was cold out there.
Cold, yeah. I had no idea. And like middle of the day, it was cold. And then, so he's waiting for us. We get there, unload everything, gin around sort of in the car park sort of area there, readjust the chain, readjust a few things, and then get going. So at this point, I've got in my mind, I've got imprinted what I believe Fink's going to be. Mm-hmm. And that's the most dangerous thing you've ever done in your life, with holes and whoops and rocks and roots and potentially drop-offs and everything, like every couple of metres there's going to be a near-death experience. So I get on the bike, death gripping the hell out of it, ripping along, and I'm trying to put in my mind, I'm like, hop on the bike, cruise along, get your feet, put the helmet on, put the goggles on, and I just all went out the window, I'm trying to... Realistically, I was trying to ride fast, knowing that any second the thing could be completely out of shape. Fink is very hard, but it's not that technical at the pace I was riding it at, because it's obviously very technical, but it's not like riding through the bush where you're riding a real techie section and it's first gear,
single
in and
trail.
out. Yeah, it's not like that, so you can actually relax on the bike. So it took me to the 80k mark to figure that out. So I'm ripping along, and it's in the sand, and there's hard packed corners, and I'm thinking, because all the sand's just pushed out of the corners from all the traffic pre-running. Yep. And so there's these hard packed corners, and I'm like, I wasn't expecting corners. Where are these corners coming from? Everyone told me there's 2 corners in the whole race. We've already passed 4, And so it was literally that first probably 40 to 50 Ks. I'd arm pump. I was breathing heavy, like I wasn't even breathing. So pre-running was great. Got to the 80k mark, sort of. Actually, it was a bit before the 80k mark. It's the first time you sort of cross the road, just before you start to get into whoops. So that first bit is kind of pretty cruisy. It's all just deepish sand, couple of holes, a little bit undulated, but not really whoopy. Yep. A little hill. The sand hills were super hard on the Harley.
Right.
Because it's so heavy, it just wants to bury into the hill as you're coming in. So I'd just have to go back to first, but you can do probably 70 k's an hour in first on that thing, like back to first and just hold it flat and just bam, 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 bam.
So what gear would you be, say, generally cruising in? Would you?
Third to fourth.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So you'd be banging back down to...
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And then, but once I realised where they sort of because you as well, when I first got on the bike, I was looking at the guard, like I'm riding along looking for any hole or bump.
Yep.
I wasn't even looking ahead, like I made all the rookie errors straight off the bat.
Straight into being a freshman.
Yeah.
Really, innit?
Yeah, literally felt like I never rode a bike before.
Wow.
But and it was good because it was clear air. Like Joe was really good. He kind of just rode beside me just to sort of set a mellow dirt bike pace.
Yep.
And I could just sort of sit with him there, and then he would just sneak ahead a bit and then cruise so I wasn't getting dusted out. Like he was really good. And then so we got to the crossover section and I was like, I'd already ripped some skin off one of my thumbs and some blokes from just up the road here, Black Cat Civil, just so happened to be cruising past, I actually seen him. I was riding along and I seen him on the service road and I was like, I just put the hammer down because I wanted to pass him like along the service road and so I could hear the Harley ripping. So one of the blokes there just taped me thumb up, which saved me because if that had gotten any worse in the race, it would have just tore apart and I would have been fucked.
Was that from gripping?
Yeah, just death gripping. I was just death gripping. I was the rest of the week I was fine. Like,
mate, you ride bikes all the time.
Yeah,
like, isn't that crazy to think though? You're like 80 k's in
or
whatever, and that's happening. Like,
Yeah.
It's not like your hands are soft. Like you ride all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just that fear, like not even fear, just the perception I had of what it was going to be. I built it up so much gnarlier, which is a good thing, so much gnarlier than what it was, that when I got there, I was like, all right, I'm about any second now I'm going to get a near-death experience. And I'm just waiting for it, I'm waiting for the biggest kick in the ass or tank slapper or hole or whatever it would be, because the stories are all true that you hear, but you calculate them into much shorter time frames. Like there was plenty of near-death experiences in that track, but, there's 20 over, that's one every... 10 kilometres.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not every 100 metres.
No. And like 80 Ks, that's a big enduro loop here. 80 kilometres, you're not even halfway. Like you're
a third into it. Yep.
And so after that, cross the road, and then you start to get it. There's a rocky section, and then you start to get into whoops.
Right.
So that's when it starts. So it basically starts there. So that was my first taste of Finke whoops. I tried wheel over a couple and tried to hop a few later I think that was actually the second time. But so I was just like a BMX bike. Soak, push, soak, push, soak, push. That's all I could do.
Yep.
Just pump, 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 pump. And so then we got to the actual 80K. So it's only that must be roughly 60-ish where you cross the road. Got to the 80K mark where the first fuel stop is and pulled up there, waited for everyone to sort of catch up and work out what we're going to do from there.
Yeah.
Joe had to go back, and then Rossi caught up. Rossi was meant to come early in the morning, but same thing, had shit going on in the morning. And Rossi caught up, and then he loaded his bike in the ute, and he had Jamie and the girls in the ute with him and his missus, and they ripped along the road, and I kept riding. And then got to roughly the 95K mark and just coming around. So after there, you rip along and it kind of opens up. It's like this real weird spot in Finke where it opens like just flat. It's just flat and opens right up, and there's big hills way in the distance, and it kind of goes like a road section.
Wow, so you can just see for
quite a way, yeah. Not that I'm not really looking around much, but it just opens up. There's no real shrubbery.
It's not like that other track that you see where it's banked up and...
Yeah, and the dirt changes. It goes to like more of a white sand.
Yep.
So they've got like this, it's like talcum powder, right? It's the best way to describe it. That was the hardest obstacle in Finke for me, was that talcum powder, because the same thing, the weight of the bike, it just wanted to bury and you couldn't skim on it or anything. Like it got that bad, it was ripping people's feet off foot pegs. It's like you got to aquaplane it,
Man.
So I'm ripping along there, and spots there you'll get well over 100 k's an hour, and that's one of the spots where I'm way over 100 k's an hour turning, and the front, so the side knobs that you see that front tyre, it's a rear tyre on the front. There's no side knobs. It's like a square. So
it's a crew cut.
Yeah, it is exactly. Yeah, it's a crew cut. That's the best way to describe it. So I'm trying to turn, and it's just the front's just floating away from me. So I just went stale, like that falling feeling where you go stale. I'm just like, bang, it will grab again, and away I go again. So I'm like gliding across like pebbly sort of rocks on a 300 kilo Harley with no grip, hoping it's about to grab, go again, you know, like that part was actually real fun. And I thought that was a good spot for a break in the race there, because you can kind of hold it wedge, sit right on the edge of the track, and it's, you know, it's real corrugated through there. Yep. I thought that would be a good spot for me to sit down and get a bit of a break. As I'm riding, I'm trying to like sort of already, I think that's my biggest strength, is I'm pretty like not calculated, clever. Pretty clever with the way I ride. Like I'm already trying to like implement things for race day of
situations
and where I can rest, and you know where I can put the hammer down and stuff like that. So got through there and feeling really good. I had those moments with the front pushing and felt good with it. Got to this left-hander, just going 2 k's an hour too fast, washed the front, down it went. I couldn't even pick it up. So I was on an off-camber corner, so it was down a little bit. I'm there, busting to try and pick it up. I couldn't. So I waved. Luckily, there was a guy coming. Waved him down. Me and him struggled to lift it.
Wow.
And I'd snapped my foot peg off.
Yep.
So the bracket. So that's one of the things we wanted the bolts to break. Otherwise, you would snap the foot peg. If the foot peg snapped, we can't just put new bolts in it, you know? So snapped the bolts off there, put it in my camelback, cruised out to the service road. Dean and the missus and that, they were up further. They were like, where'd he go? They finally come back down, found me, talked to them. Then JD and Gav turned up, and the truck was up way further. So the truck had shot up to get photos at the 140k mark, roughly, at the big water tank. So they'd shot up there to get photos of me coming through because the whoops and gnarly there. And so we'd gotten onto them. They were coming back. I was like, oh, I'll just cruise along the service road and catch the truck coming back. The mistake I made was thought there was only one road this whole way. So I'm cruising along, and there's a left turn. I didn't even see it. I seen like junk on the side. There's like an ATM machine and stuff in the middle of the desert. Like
Seriously?
obviously doesn't work.
But just
sitting there. And so I'm ripping along. I seen that. I didn't even look. There's a road that goes down that way.
Yep.
Next minute, I turn out in this little town. I'm looking around. I'm thinking, there's no bikes. There's no cars. I don't know if I'm in the right place. But then there's this big sign with painted on it with an arrow, Finke. Then a couple of cars come through and they follow that. And I'm like, well, that's got to be the way to where the truck is. Come along that way. Next minute, we're kind of going along this goat track. I pull up and talk to these dudes. I'm like, is this the way to Finke? Like, we don't know. Oh, great. So we're all lost.
Yeah.
So I'm ripping along. Next minute, I'm pretty close to 120, 130 mark, roughly. And I've seen these dudes up in the camp, and I pull up and I'm like, have you seen this big green truck? And they're like, yeah, it flew past that way ages ago. I was like, bugger. So I'm heading back the other way. Now, so I've got one foot peg, mind you. So I'm riding along with my foot on the primary.
Just hovering.
It's just sitting there on the primary, slipping off. And so I'm riding along the service road. The service road, next minute's terrible, like bull dust and corrugated. And I'm looking at the track. I'm thinking, it probably looks better in there. So I pop back on the track. It's after 12, so you can go back the other way. So I'm going back the other way. So I'm riding the track, one foot peg, looking for a truck. I ended up doing 130 Ks of riding around, looking. It was my mistake. I should have just sat still. Yeah. I was all excited. I just wanted to look around, like see as much as I could. So everyone's freaking out. People are ringing Jamie. Have you seen Bryan? They ring me, old man. Dad's sitting in the pub in Alice Springs. I haven't seen him walk into the pub. He wasn't worried at all. So that's day one of testing.
Mate. What a day.
Oh, and so everyone's wigging out, everyone's arguing, and I'm thinking, oh, it's all my fault. I should have just sat still. So I just told everyone, my fault.
Yep.
Don't argue with each other. It's my bad.
Yep.
Like, I should have sat still,
Have your bags turned up yet?
No.
Still no bags?
No, they had. So Jamie, after Dean took him back to town, Jamie went in, got our bags and everything, so they're there. So I got back, we sort of debriefed with everyone, was a bit like heated, you know, like no one was bad, but it was just a shit vibe.
Bit of tension. Yep.
Yeah. So, which cleared up real quick, you know, once we everyone thought about it, everyone was safe.
Yep.
Because everyone was just freaking out that I was dead on the side of the track somewhere, you know, like, which is fair enough.
So there's something you touched on too. Is that how it works after midday? You're allowed to go back the other way?
Yeah. So in the morning,
Yep.
you go from Alice towards Finke.
Yep.
And then midday, I believe it's an hour break from 12 to 1, something like that. And then, or half an hour, whatever it is. And then it flips and everyone comes back the other way.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yep.
So then day 2, wake up. I'm like, right, well, I want to start from the 80K mark.
Yep.
Because I want to ride this section where I crashed. So I figured that's a good point to start.
Mm-hmm.
So we started at 80Ks, went through there, got to the corner where I crashed, and I'd slowed right down. Because in my mind, I wasn't sure whether it was the track that I crashed or just going a little bit too quick.
Yep.
Like, was it a really hard... Like, overnight, I'm like overplaying it, you know? Like, is it just a hard corner or was it just going too quick, you know? So come in, it was an easy corner. It was just... I was just going too quick. It was hard pack on the inside and sandy on the outside. And I was on the inside. The front just slid. It was all over Red Rover. So went through that. Perfect. No worries whatsoever. Kept ripping along. Then the whoops really start. So the whoops kick off and it's like... You can't even describe it. What everyone says, like I say, is true. Everyone's got a different description.
Yeah.
But they just go for forever, mate. Like, they don't stop. And you'll get, like, this little spot where you can see that the dirt's pushed up on a few. You're like, oh. You get a bit of a break because I'm just so... Then I'm like, right, race day, race pace. How am I going to do this?
Yep.
How am I going to get this bike through these whoops? What can I do? Can I get over them? Do I have to BMX them? So got wheel over a couple. There was sort of a nice section on the very start of where the whoops sort of start. And there's kind of like a nice couple of rolly ones with a good gap. Right, so come for the Harley flying in, wheel over, hopped, just sort of made the next one, probably bellied it a little bit, all out of shape. Like, because from there, what do you do? There's another 100 kilometres of them. So I was literally lock to lock, like on the limiter, thought it was all over Red Rover. I was looking for the softest spot I could find to land, you know?
Wow.
Like,
So this is on day 2?
This is on day 2. So this is on Friday.
Yep.
Prologue Saturday. So this is like all super last minute.
Yeah, ain't much time.
So it was a big toss-up whether I even ride that day and how much I ride. Like, how much do you ride the day before Prologue? But Prologue's only 8 kilometres. So then we're like doing that mind wrestle of 8Ks is nothing.
Yep.
I'm not looking to do well in Prologue anyway. I'm looking to just get through Prologue.
Yep.
What do we do? So, right, well, I need the time on the bike. Let's just send it, see how we go. So coming through the whoops, have a massive moment, recoup myself, like just get it all back together, keep going, start BMXing it again. And then I get the rush of blood, like this is going really good. Let's try this again.
Open it up.
Same thing, tried it again, exact same scenario. I actually didn't jump a set again. I just wheelied through a few and then same, there's 100 Ks of them. Like, you can't do it. It doesn't want to do it. So got all out of shape.
Yep.
And then, so just kept plummeting through them, got to 140K mark. Got to 140Ks, waited there for the boys. And then they all got there, and I was frothing. I felt really, really good on the bike. The bike felt great. The team was happy. I was happy. All I wanted to do was get to race day. Like, you know what it's like when you get off and everything's on a high.
Yep.
We made some suspension changes too. So between day 1 and day 2 of testing, as I was saying before, the corrugation, I made a mistake of setting up the suspension, my fault, for the whoops.
The G-outs and...
Exactly, big hits, and so it's got to be stiff, and, you know, we've got a lot of weight, and we set it up, I set it up, too stiff. So perfect for the whoops if we could skim it, but we couldn't. We couldn't use the whoops in the way that I thought we could. So the corrugation, everything was just beating me to pulp, you know. I had a couple of big hits on my right wrist. My wrist was sore. So I rang Gabriel Rock Suspension. He gave me some changes. So then I made those changes. Yep. Way better. Night and day. A lot better. You know, still you're riding a 300 kilo jackhammer, but it was a lot better. Felt great. I was frothing. They're there. Do you want to change it? Don't change a thing. Don't touch anything. Don't change anything. rub it up and bubble wrap, put it on the truck, leave it alone. You know?
So it was enough to like literally change a good setting? Like
yes. Yep.
Good as a 300 kilo jackhammer would be. Yeah.
We could have tried more. You know, we could have probably tried to change the settings that way a little bit more.
Yep.
We may have, but like I don't like changing stuff.
Yep.
Like it felt good. I
Find
felt
a good
good.
base. Yep.
I was on a high. We're 2 days out from race day.
Yeah.
Like even to change the settings means I've got to ride more. I'd just ridden from 80 to 140, you know, like, so I'd ridden 80K or 90Ks the first day, well, 130Ks the first day.
Yeah.
And then 60Ks day 2. So that's, you know, just under 200 kilometres in 2 days.
Yep.
That will do me, you know.
Is there many people out doing testing when you're like, do you see many people? Like,
So the first day we tested, there was a fair few.
Yep.
But, next day, not really, because it's so close to race day. Everyone's
Yep.
already done it. People have been there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
At the last minute, you know,
Yep.
like that's last minute is 2 weeks before. So the other day there was 4 or 5 people out. You know, like
Okay,
there's
yep.
bugger all that I seen. There would have been way more, but and a lot of people were going from say 100 to 160 just to hit the whoops. You know.
Yep.
Because everyone says after 160, there's no more whoops. From there, it's a highway. Once you get to 160, you've made the race, right? That's the slang getting passed around the pits. We'll touch base on that later. So get back to camp, stoked. Everyone's frothing. Get a good meal. Get a good night's sleep. The girls are pumped for me. Like Jamie and the girls are super excited. Everyone's happy. Happy days. Not really nervous about prologue that night or anything like that.
Yep.
Just kind of cruising. So wake up, get to prologue, butterflies start kicking in. I get there, do the sign on and stuff. Watch Toby Price rip around in the truck, which was incredible. And then it starts like,
this is real.
Yeah, you know, like the biggest fear for me for prologue was they didn't allow anyone to walk the track.
Yeah.
And then they did, but then they did. So then they changed their mind on that and people walked it, but I ran out of time because I was pre-running.
Okay.
So I ran out of time to walk it. So the best look I got from the track was where you stand at the crowd and kind of look over.
Such an unsafe thing to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Like not let people walk the place that they're about to ride?
But they did. So
which is good.
That's
Yeah.
right. Absolutely.
Yep.
So I just ran out of time to do it.
Yep.
And then so my biggest fear was getting injured in front of the girls. You know what I mean? Like I just had like this overwhelming sense of don't be a dickhead.
Yep.
You could throw it all away here right in front of your daughters, you know, like I didn't want that at all. So there was a big rush of that sort of lining up.
Yep.
And then they're all so proud, they're all cheering me on and all that. And then I'm like, oh, I don't want to.
Breathe.
They're gonna cheer me on whether I come dead last or first. Like they don't care, you know. So, so on the line, I got pretty lucky actually. It was me and one other bloke, and the other bloke got 13th the year before or something. So he was going to smoke me. There was no stress there whatsoever.
Yep.
Take off, sort of all over the place off the start. Get going. Can't see a thing. Everyone's the same thing. Everyone's like, don't shut off until you get to that first corner. Like don't even, it's got a little sort of chicane, hold it wedge. But I couldn't see a thing. I didn't know where I was going. So I shut off, you know, like I was cruising. Get through some spots. Mate, there was just big holes everywhere and the dust lasted for a while, even with old mate flying.
Do you remember what time you were on? The prologue?
Late in the day.
Because like, this is the thing too, like for people to understand, like I think Toby was at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I'm late in the day because I was 2:44, so they go reverse.
So there's a day of people running over this thing.
Yep.
Like that's for people that listen that don't understand it. Like this track is hammered.
Yep.
Like it's cops a day of pounding.
Oh,
you know?
yeah,
8 kilometres of
Plus,
torture.
like people pre-run the. They've got like, open times where people pre-run the prologue track. So it's had all that as well. I'm sure they prep it, but it's had buggies and cars just destroying
for a
it.
day. Yep.
Yep. So, like the track's rough, mate. Like, so not only that, there's already been some injuries. So there's, you know, in the pits, people are saying people are already hurt and blah, blah, blah. And there's this one particular spot where there's like, it looks like a double, but it's actually sort of a triple roller.
Right.
And there's, you know, everyone's like, that was the hardest part. Like that just caught me by surprise. Going around, then before I'm leaving, they're like, the ambulance is just staying at that obstacle the whole day because so many people are crashing on it.
Oh, no.
So, and then, so I'm like, right. So I rip around. There's a guy getting loaded in an ambulance at that obstacle, like, and there's like 2 ambos there. And I'm thinking, holy, like, this is full on. Like, the race is going and people are getting carted off into ambulances. Then I come around and I wasn't sure where the whoops were. Everyone kept talking about these man-made gnarly whoops, right?
Yep.
So I'm turning corners. I don't want to get on the case, like, because you can't, like, I'm just very jittery. I'm not sure where things are. I don't know what's coming up. Same thing with the first time I rode the Finke track. I'm death gripping it. I'm not sure. I'm watching my wheel, not looking ahead. Like, I'm just got no idea, you know? Come around, get to the whoops. There's the crowd just waving me down, like, and I'm slow, still waving me down. I'm crawling through the whoops. There's a guy full spinal in the whoops.
Wow.
Like, so I don't believe the ambos were even there yet. So I believe that person shattered his spine. Wow. Shattered. Like, that's like, obviously at that time I just seen him all laid up. Everyone's freaking out. So I don't know the severity of it. But so I'm literally at a crawling pace through the whoops and then get going again. So all that, like, I already had in my mind before prologue, don't die in front of the girls. Yeah. Now, like, so, mate, I just cruised through. Like, my time was terrible, but that was the goal. The goal was to coming past where I knew the girls were. I'm like turning the corner, slow, clutch in, boom, 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 like just on the limiter, like just like it was, I don't know, a thing for me. So they knew I was all good. I think I was more worried that they were worried than they were, like.
Yep.
And then different on the Finke track. Finke track, they're not going to see me. If I'm all whatever,
they
don't have to see it and be around the atmosphere.
But if you're in that situation where that was, it's a different story, isn't it?
Yeah, they're around the atmosphere. Yep. Like everyone's whatever. So finished. It was a weird feeling when I finished too, because I don't like doing shit. Even though I did exactly what I planned to do, I kind of planned to do shit.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. Like, I don't like the kind
You're
of...
an achiever.
Yeah. So it was a massive wrestle for me. That was like, I was in there like, yes, I did exactly what I wanted to do. Well done. I was also like, you're a pussy. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, so why didn't you send it?
But it's hard too when you don't get the opportunity was open, but you didn't get the opportunity to see any of it. You're going completely blind into something that you got to go as fast as you can.
It doesn't turn, mate. Like, the thing doesn't turn. Like, the risk of that race is huge. Yes. Let alone doing it on what I'm doing it on. So, like I said from the start, like, I just wanted to finish it. So, I know it's right, like, it's fine, it is what it is, but it was just something I was wrestling with that whole night. Like,
which you always will, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, Rossi smoked me in prologue. Like, the dude's just a crazy rider anyway. Yep. But his bike's, I don't know how much lighter it is, noticeably lighter, set up really well. And, that's what he picked to do, that's what I picked to do. There's no... Yep. There's no
incorrect, is there?
No. That's right. It is what it is. Like, there's no advantage, disadvantage. It just is what it is.
Before you went out, and you would have seen it as well, he looked good, eh?
Oh, yeah.
His form looked so good just cruising through.
Just floating.
Yeah, it looked unreal.
He could cruise through, like, undulated spots, one-handed, waving at the girls in the car. And
that's not, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
it looked good, I was like, wow, that's really cool to see. And, that was obviously before, because he went out and did tests a couple of weeks before, or 2 weeks before, I think.
Oh, he'd done a fair bit of pre-running. Yeah, a fair bit. He'd been there a few times, and he did Alice Springs to Finke and back in one day. So he did the whole race in one day.
Man, talking to you like this last hour,
I
just can't fathom how to even think about doing that.
Yeah.
Seriously, eh?
Yeah, you and me both. Like, that's 460 kilometres of the worst terrain you'll ever find in a day.
On a Sportster?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tough.
So,
you get through Saturday.
Yep.
Prologue's
Saturday. All done.
You're wrestling with that part. What happens now?
So that night, obviously there's a lot of logistics in Finke, right?
Yes.
Fuel stops, mechanical stuff, everything. There's so much more involved than I realised logistically. 80k fuel stops sorted.
Yep.
I'm kind of teed up with Dean Ross there. Mudgy and a heap of boys from Adelaide are there. So we're all sort of teed up, 80k's sorted.
Yep.
I've got to sort the 160 out. So good mate of mine, Dan the Man, Dan White, has got the 160 with a guy that's ridden a heap of stuff with Gav years ago with an XR. He's kind of ridden an XR all over Australia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's got this motorhome and he's going to take that out to 160. So they wanted to watch prologue, which is fair. They leave after prologue. Already I'm like, oh, it's a long way. It's late in the day. By the time I did prologue, it was real late in the day. I get a phone call at 10 o'clock.
Saturday night?
Saturday night. I'm asleep. We're at like 40 kilometres into the track. We're never going to make it to 160 in this motorhome.
Oh, no.
The night before the race. So I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, so my first thing obviously is like I'm fuming, you know, like, but then also these guys have just tried so hard for me. Like, there's no way Steve or Dan would have given up unless they had to, you know, like the vehicle just wasn't going to make it. The service road is horrendous. So I thought they were going on the roadway and coming back, but even because I didn't know what the track was like at the other end, but even the other end's that bad, they probably would have never made it.
Wow.
So anyway, so we're there, right, what are we going to do? So I go over, the JD's working on the bike anyway. He's up, ripping into the bike, just checking everything, make sure everything's right. We already had, I believe, we changed some steering dampener settings to make it engage a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So we got all that sorted. He was playing around with some other stuff, and then go and see them. Right, this is what we've come up with. What are we going to do? First thing is everyone's far out. What are we going to do? Like, everyone's freaking out a little bit. And then I was like, right, Robbo that did the photos is going to jump in Daimler's truck. He's going to load everything up. He's going to rip along. He's going to meet Dan and Steve at roughly 40 Ks, wherever they were. Pick Dan up, pick all the fuel up, his swag, everything, drop him at 160 because they closed the road. So you can't drive the road while the race is happening.
Wow, okay.
So this all has to happen tonight.
Yep.
Drop him at the 160, middle of the night, with a swag and fuel cans by himself, then drive it to Finke and set up at Finke. Because he's got to be at Finke end so that when I get there, the truck's there. So poor Dan is just dumped in the middle of the desert.
With a fuel can and a swag.
Doesn't know anyone. And so,
freezing cold.
So, and even on the morning of the race, I'm like, I can't wait to get to 160 to see Dan.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to see Dan and make sure he's all right. So, got that sorted, right, sleep, get it all happening. So I sleep, wake up in the morning, I wake up pretty early, stretch, roll, do all the trigger ball stuff, like sort of obviously need to do that, but it helps with the nerves too. Like, you're kind of visualizing what you got to do, let the bike dance, like you're kind of running through the race. Yep. Sit down as much as you can, drink your bloody water, all that stuff, you know. So we're getting through all that, getting geared up. We kind of leave semi-early to the track, which worked out good because the traffic was bumper to bumper from the town to the track. So that worked out good because I would have...
How far is that?
It's not that far, maybe 5Ks, something like that. But
it's just packed.
Packed because there's people spectating, people racing. Like, I never looked how many exact bikes were in there, but there's more than 600 bikes in that race, right?
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
So I should look at more of these things.
Yeah.
I just look where I am.
I think it was 600 and something bikes, but there was going to be another 100 more because Victoria obviously missed out or something. 680 bikes or something.
Right.
So, bloody lot.
Yeah, a lot of bikes regardless.
Yep.
So then we... get to the track, get there semi-early, sort of set up, get everything happening, and then it's kind of just waiting, you know, and then I hate waiting. I like to just pull my gear on and go, you know, get the monkey off your back and get going. I was gate 111. So because prologue time was quite bad, I think maybe 120 gates or something. I was at the back, back of the gate and start in groups of 5. Mm-hmm. Line up there. And my mindset going to the line was like, I'm going to have to smoke these people off the start because I don't want to be stuck in the dust. So, you know, and then also I was like, do I have to get in these guys' heads? Because I like to get in people's heads a bit for racing, you know, like just, I don't know why. But do I have to get in these guys' head a little bit on the line, be like, this thing doesn't turn. If you guys get close to me in the corner, like I'm probably going to run into you, and I'm sorry because it doesn't turn. You know, like
Mate, you're cruel.
well, but it's kind of.
But it's sort
I'm
of
actually
semi-true.
thinking kind of like safety wise as well.
Yeah.
Like if I'm turning and they can obviously turn faster and they come up on the outside or something, I've got no room. Do I let them know now that I've got no room, or do I just wait to see what happens, or what do I do? You know, so. I'm kind of, one bloke's sort of talking to me and he's like, I feel privileged lining up with you with the Harley. And one thing I missed out on was scrutineering.
Yeah.
Scrutineering's huge. It's a massive night. So the night before prologue is scrutineering.
Okay, so Friday night.
Friday night's prologue. Sorry, mate. So everyone's there. It's like a big pit party.
Wow.
I could not leave the motorcycle. I just had like a crowd of people, almost like turn up the deli and getting a number, like just constant the whole time we were there. And it was like sort of the same stuff over and over, but which didn't worry me.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? What are you doing? Why are you here? Like, are you? Do you think you're going to finish? And all that kind of stuff, you know. We'd put a few photos. Robbo put a few photos up on that Finke 2021 page, and obviously you've gotten sort of all the mixed results happening there. People saying it's the blue healer, will go for a bit and it'll come back on the ute and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So, which I love, you know, bring it on. And like a few people, same thing, kind of funny comments. Then you would reply to them and they're like, oh, nah, good on you, mate. Rip in, like, you know, that whole chestnut. But I was loving it, you know, like, so did scrutineering, got all that done. So there was quite a lot of hype after scrutineering about the bike on the Finke page, everything like that. So the publicity was spreading like wildfire. So we're lined up on the line almost like, I feel privileged to line up with you. I'm wrapped. Like, this is the best.
That's cool.
And then I don't remember the guy's name or anything, but so I was frothing. And then we're getting closer and closer and get on the line. I've got the thing, wom bom bom, wom bom bom, you know, like, and then because it draws a crowd, the thing's so loud, like it'll bust an eardrum loud.
Man, we started it this morning too.
Yeah.
And I stood next to a top fueler the other week.
Yeah.
Man, that just about did the same to my ear.
Not far off.
She's pretty noisy.
Yeah, it's pretty noisy, mate. So I can see the girls. I always look for the girls before I start any race. I can see the girls. Right, we're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Let's get this done, you know?
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was. Because it's such a long race, it's kind of a weird nerve.
Yeah.
Like, normal race, it's like a sprint, right? So the nerves are like firing really quickly. Like, everything's firing quick. Yeah. Everything's in fast forward, where with this, it was kind of like it's a long race.
Slow butterflies.
Like, I'm not going out of the blocks and for whatever, 20 minutes, you know? Like, this is a long race. Work into it, relax, breathe, all that stuff, you know? So, yes, I was definitely nervous, but it's a different nerve. It's like a kind of a calm nerve, you know? And I just kept telling myself, because I wasn't trying to come a certain position so much, I just wanted to finish. I didn't feel any pressure to succeed in that aspect, you know? So it's a different nerve. So light goes green, we take off, I get a bit squirrely. Once I finally hook up, get going, I sort of get in front of the group I'm with, kind of the corners kind of cruise. You kind of go the prologue track backwards for a quarter of the track, and then you get onto the Finke track. So cruise through that. I've got no dust. I'm sweet. I'm good. Thought I'd have no dust for a little bit. Pretty much hit the Finke track, dust.
Straight away?
It's pretty much straight away, mate.
So you wouldn't have had a chance to deal with dust either?
So Joe actually jumped in front of me a few times just to show me what the dust was like.
On the Thursday,
Yep. So, and then, so I had no idea. I thought I had a rough idea. You got no clue how dusty it is. Wow. The dust is like standing in a room, someone just slides their foot across it, no one can see. Like, the dust is full on. So I'm ripping along straight off the bat. I know my prologue time's bad. I know I'm better than that. I want to make up positions. So as soon as I hit the Finke track, I'm like, this is more my cup of tea, you know, like sand, less corners, more balls, like holding it on a bit more. So I start ripping along. So I've got the 4 that I started with, and then I start plucking away. You got to remember, you're catching groups of 5 people that are all trying to sort of work themselves out as well. So the dust just didn't stop. Like it's just dust upon dust upon dust. So I get a few, get it going, and I'm kind of getting in a bit of a rhythm, you know. There's a few corners early on, kind of toss back and forward with a few. All right, I'm getting a rhythm. I'm getting more.
Yeah.
I'm plucking them off. I was catching people that were like 3 to 4 wide, sort of all riding together, so they're kind of all out of the dust.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're catching 2 quads. I couldn't even see the track at all. I couldn't see anything. All I could see was a helmet above, like bobbing. This little group of helmets bobbing along. I'm like, right, the track goes that way.
Yeah.
That's the way I got to go. And so I'm just ripping along, and then you get
fluid.
Yeah, just get closer and closer, and then you finally start plucking, like getting more and more, you know. I get to roughly the 40k mark, and I believe it's about 40 k's. My mate Nugget's there. The reason I remember is because he's screaming, half on the track, screaming at me, you know, like just with excitement.
Yep.
Just after that, my steering dampener goes. So when we're on the line, Jamie noticed it was leaking oil, and I was like, there's nothing we can do now. All the boys are either on their way to Finke or there. We're on the line.
Yep.
It's just going to be whatever it's going to be. So it blew out, felt like it only blew out on the left side. So the right side still had some dampener, but the left side was just floating around. So I'm ripping along, and the left is just, anytime you hit anything, whoa, 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 but the right's got some stability, which sucked because you weren't sure if you had to hold or not hold, depending on which way the steering was going to go. So we get through the first 60 Ks, and I reckon I've passed 40 people. I reckon conservatively I've passed 40 people.
Far out.
Yeah, 60, yeah, and then cross the road, right? And then the whoops start. And I knew right there, I was like, I need to feel good when I cross the road. I don't want to push that hard that when I cross the road, when it starts to get more technical and more whoopy, that I'm already tired.
And fatigued. Yep.
Yeah, so, and the plan worked good. The whole way I kept, goggles are dusty, drink water. So I was drinking water.
Breathing.
I was leaning into my steg pegs when I feel my arms even slightly starting to get tight, relaxing them. I was really trying to maintain the body and the bike as much as I could.
Yep.
Get across the road, get into the whoops, and it's like that rocky section, sort of pick my way through the rocks and then roll on the whoops. I reckon by the time I got to the 80k mark, I would have passed anywhere from 40 to 60 bikes. We'll say 40 safe. And pull up at the fuel stop. I've just come all through the whoops. The boys are there. I'm frothing. Like, I'm just having the best time of my life.
So you're loving it?
I'm loving it. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So Mudgee was like, you were like the happiest person to pull up the fuel stop all day. Man. Everyone else is like either in full race mode or half like hating it. Like, and so I was there just like, this is the best. You boys got beer? They're like, yeah. I'm like, no, I'm joking. I don't really want a beer. And so get through the fuel stop. And the plan sort of was to spend a little bit of time at the fuel stops. And before the race, Mudgee actually said to me, you won't do that. Like, there's no way. I plan to do the same thing. You won't do it. I'm like, nah, I'll do it. I'm riding a Harley. Like, I'll spend time. Got there. They filled me up. Right, see us. Gone again, you know. Like, as well, because I'd worked hard to pass certain people, I didn't want to then lose positions in the fuel stop. I wanted to, if anything, make a couple. So the dust is just, you can't fathom the dust.
Like, you don't have an ego. You're very level across it.
Yeah.
But you imagine those people that you've just overtaken you're on a Harley.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to blow up your own tyres, but you'd be like, far out.
Yeah.
You're on a KTM 500 or something.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've done well.
Yeah. There was like they, and some I don't think were stoked. You could kind of tell, you know, like you could kind of see, especially if you started battling back and forth a bit, you could kind of pick up on people's vibe, you know.
See it tensing up.
Well, that Harley shouldn't pass me, like this isn't on, you know, like, and other people that were just like, yes, Harley shouldn't pass you, this isn't on, but also that is unreal, like good effort.
Well done.
Yeah. Like, and so, I could definitely pick up. Then again, everyone's fighting their own demons in that race.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So we get going again. The whoops continue. I get to, must be about 90 Ks. So I get through that fast road section, get through all that. that fast road section in race day was the whole track was totally different to a few days before. All the trucks have been over it. Majority of the bikes have been over it.
Yeah.
So totally different track.
So is it chewed out or is it better?
Nah, way more chewed out, way more holes, more corrugation.
Right.
No smooth lines whatsoever. Any smooth line you thought you had is gone. Like, so I'm riding the edge of everything because anywhere else, everyone's been. So I'm trying to sit right on the edge, which obviously comes with its own risk of roots and trees and stuff. And if you don't have much room, if you do get out of shape,
Yep.
And you're kind of riding like on a bit of a curve, you know. And so we're ripping through that, get to 90 Ks, coming through this talcum powder corner, fully lose it was like Clint Eastwood shot my front wheel out. Do a full somersault, boom, into the face first, into this powder, and you can't even describe it till you, like, I stood up and it's just falling out of me like I'd just been in a bottle of talcum powder, like falling out of my helmet and everything. Mind you, I can't pick the bike up.
Right.
So I've just worked so hard to pass all these people. Anyone that's going to come past me, I've passed. So they're going to be in two minds whether, well, the Harley's down, he's probably down and out, and I don't want him to come back past me anyway, or I'm going to help this guy because this is what we do, you know, we help each other. And so this bloke comes around the corner, I'm like, whoa, and he's looking at me like, you look fine, why are you waving me down? I'm like, I can't pick this thing up. And then next minute, this lady, like, this is a spot where there's nobody. The first 70 Ks of the track, there's not a gap in the crowd.
Really?
There's not a gap both sides.
The whole way?
Yep. There's not a gap. So I'm loving it. People are screaming, they're frothing because they
you can hear
coming.
it?
Oh, yeah. If people are really excited, I'm pulling the clutch in. Wom, bom, bom, bo, wom, bom, bom, bo. Like, there's chicks with tops up. Like, there's blokes with their butts out. Like, it is the best. Like, the vibe, it's like, they've probably been drinking since 7 o'clock in the morning.
On Thursday?
Yeah. So they're having a great time. And that's definitely my vibe. Like, the whole...
Enjoy life.
Absolutely. Yep. So I'm almost riding along kind of like a dust hustle, you know, like putting on, not a show, but kind of like giving them the limiter and letting them know that I'm having a great time as well, you know. So we pull up when I crash. This lady comes running. She is sprinting over from her camp, which is hundreds of meters away. Comes over, she helps me pick it up. So I seen the lady, I said, oh, mate, go, don't worry, sorry, go. Because I didn't want to slow him up. We're all, you know. And so she comes over, she helps me pick, and it's a handful for us to pick up. She did great. Then her partner comes over, I presume her partner comes over, and he yells out, I can't work out if you're crazy or stupid. And with talcum powder and shit still falling out of me, covered in crap, I just go, I think I'm both, mate, and just take off, you know, like. And so as I get going again, another guy falls. I kind of pull up and I'm trying to work out how I'm going to help this guy.
Yeah.
Because I can't get this bike up again. He's on the ground. I'm yelling at him, are you okay? And he's giving me thumbs up, but he's still on the ground. So he must be winded or something, you know. So I'm worried, like, do I leave the man? Next minute, another guy, I'm like, oi, help him. I can't stop.
Wow, yeah.
So I felt like a bit of an asshole because I expect people to help me, but then I can't help anyone.
Yeah, but how do you get you?
So
Side stander just fall into the ground?
There's no side stand.
Are you going to take it off?
Yeah, absolutely, because I don't want it to flick down.
Yeah, right.
So I can't stop. Like, to stop, I have to lay the bike down. Then if he's injured, he can't help me get it back up. Like, so there's all that, you know. Like, so I felt real bad, but it just is what it is, I guess. I'm sure they understand. Keep ripping along, going great. We come up to the next section. There's still sort of the road section. Yellow flags. There's a guy injured on the track. Mm-hmm. We go out onto the road. Yellow flag. Meant to be cruising. So I try and abide by motocross rules there.
Yep.
Cruise along the road and pop back on, you know. Mind you, I'm still catching people. So at this point, I've caught someone else too. Yep. So I don't want to let him go through that section.
Yep.
Because I've just worked so hard to get to him.
You want to be constant still. Yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of like gained a little through there, which is fine. So then that's just the struggle in my mind of like, I kind of want to rip along this road and catch him. And then so we pop back on the track. Same thing. I'm getting a few people and I'm passing a few blokes along that road quick. Like I'm doing over 130 Ks an hour. So like there's sections of that track that are very fast, you know, like the dirt bikes will be doing 170 plus through there, you know, like
Wow.
it's a really fast section of track. And then the whoops kick in, you know, like it starts to get the deeper sand and more frequent whoop sections. There's a spot, and I knew where I'd pulled up riding around with no foot peg, where I pulled up to ask where the truck was. I knew where those guys were, and I was right on a really good whoop part, and they just frothed the Harley. So as I was coming, I'm like, oh, I know where I am. So I'm going through these whoops, same thing, wham, bum, bum, wham, bum, bum. And I've looked over and I could just see them all. They're all standing on their full drives and all cheering and like, yeah. It was,
Just loving it.
oh, loving it, mate. So we get through all that. We get through, it's pretty uneventful for a bit there. Same thing, the crowd loving it, seeing tits, and like it was insane.
So you're starting to get back into more crowd?
Yes, so the middle, I'm bad with meterage stuff, but I would say from 80 to 140, there's not many people.
Yeah, right.
Then after that, it kind of kicks on again, you know?
Wow.
So I'm going through the whoops. Now, when I reach 140, my mind is fight or flight mode's kicking in, and my mind's saying flight. Like my mind's saying give up. Like it just clicked in right at about that 140 mark.
What did you feel like just all of a sudden?
Yep. Like someone flicked a switch.
It went
and it just come into my mind was you're tired, you're sore, you've got a long way to go, you need to pull over and have a break.
Demons, eh?
Yep.
That's cool.
So I'm ripping along and no shit, I was riding, and one of the really big goals for me, which really implemented into me when I was actually riding, was my girls and showing them that no matter what anyone thinks, no matter what's right or wrong, you can do whatever you want to do. Like riding a Harley in the Finke is wrong and a lot of doubt. And if you want to do it, you can do it.
Yep.
So that was in my mind. I dropped a tear riding, thinking about it. And I was like, there is no way I'm stopping. There is no way in the world I'm back. And it was like my second wing kicked in and I just got quicker. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to give up and show my daughters that, yeah, you can try and you can stop and try again and stop, and no way.
It's this way.
Yep, 100%. So the big motivation for me, and like when I did the States, I always felt like I let the missus down a little bit, which we spoke about, like going there and not doing as well as what I could have. And I've like left her with the girls, and poor Jamie's like working so hard with the girls at Alice, and like they've been a nightmare because they're cooped inside. And so she's doing the hard slog.
Yep.
And all I got to do is ride a motorcycle, you know, like, so that was the big motivator for me, that and the haters. I was like, there's no way I'm stopping. So I got like a second win, probably realistically, it was probably 10, 20 Ks the wrestle was for. And then I was like, good to go again.
So you're riding along for that amount of time, just like in your own head, just thinking, I'm
kind
tired.
of in and out, you know.
Tired, you know, battling.
Yeah, it was kind of like,
and then,
you know how you're like riding, you get a smooth bit and you're like, oh, it's good. And then it get rough again or whatever. And then you're like, oh, and then it'd be like, pull over.
Yep.
And then it'd get smooth again. And then any time I got a spot where it was like tough, it would pop into my mind. And there's spots there, mate, where there's, like I say, there's no one. You're kind of in the abyss, and like you don't even know where you're going, and you've just been riding so long, and you see they've got bonnets with the meters you're up to, the kilometres, and so you know where you are, but you kind of don't know where you are. I don't know where I am. You're in the middle of nowhere.
You're in the middle of nothing.
And how much longer is this going to go for? How much worse? Is the track going to get worse? Is it going to get better? And in my mind, I'm 160. I've got to make it to 160. 160, you've made it to Finke. That's what everyone kept saying. You made it to Finke once you get to 160. I'm 20 Ks away from 160. Don't be a pussy. 20 Ks.
Go.
Yeah, so I get to the fuel stop. First thing I see is Big Dan's luscious mullet running across the track to where the fuel stop was. He was on one side, angling me over, you know?
Yep.
And I was stoked because, like I said, I just wanted to see Dan, make sure he was all good.
So you could pick him out. You could see.
Yep.
That's
you can't
good.
miss Dan. He's got the best mullet and pit
one.
vipers you've ever seen. Sorry, Heatwave looking.
Heatwave visuals.
Yeah. So run across the track, pull up. He's there. He's got like a couple of factory teams helping him, help me. So he's made mates with all these awesome people, and they were great. They took him in. He basically camped with them.
Wow.
They helped us with the fuel stop. Do I need anything? Whatever, you know, like. And they said, "Do you need anything?" My exact words were, "I need these whoops to fucking stop." and they laughed, you know, like I'm laughing. Also, also like, no, I'm serious. Like,
Enough's enough.
yeah, does someone have a bulldozer?
So, because he would have been there in the middle of the night. Like he would have one in the morning or something.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, it was.
So he made
1,
mates
2 in the morning. Yep. So he made mates in the morning. They were like, "Where did you come from? How did you turn up here?"
No vehicle.
He had like no food.
Fuel tins, the swag.
Like,
no
it had like a thing of water
Yeah.
and like snacks.
Good person.
Yeah, such a... And I couldn't have done it without him. And I said that when I was there even, mate. Like, without someone there to fill me up at that 160 mark,
Yep.
I was never going to make it to Finke. So that shows how important each little person... Like, the logistics of that race, I couldn't stress enough. If you're thinking of doing Finke,
Yep.
probably just... If you've never done it before, you're not... Like, do the club fuel stops.
Yep.
Because especially if you don't have people that are willing to go out there, because you can just roll in, line up, they fill you up. I actually made quite a few positions on those club stops, I reckon, because they were there fueling up. There might have been, 10 people lined up to fill up.
Just biting time. Just
Yeah,
wait, chewing it over.
because they kind of just do one then the next. So that helped me, because I kept just searching for this dust-free zone, and there were sections where I had clear track.
Yep.
But it was for such a short period of time, especially because when I had clear track, obviously I'm making up good time. So, and I passed a few quads. Everyone really freaks out about passing the quads. They're super hard to pass.
Uh-huh.
And there's a creek section and there's like walls. So
Really?
you're in the Finke Creek, right? So it's
Yeah.
the oldest riverbed in the world, apparently, or something.
Wow.
So you're in this creek bed, ripping along a creek bed, and there's a quad. And there was actually a chick on a quad. She was ripping, going really good. And I'm trying to like be polite, but also like, fuck, get out of my way. And so, but she was going really good. And she actually passed me back because it got to like a corner bit and I got loose and went off track a bit. And she actually got me back and then I had to work on it again. And
Wow.
like, it wasn't like I was blistering past her or anything.
Yeah.
And then, got to the fuel stop, got past all those people. Then 160, I'm like, right, I'm at Finke. Like, the whoops are over. I come around the corner after the fuel stop, still whoops. I'm like, oh, yeah, it can't last much longer. It's going to end.
Yeah.
Surely. It did not end. Like, the mentality that the whoops finish at 160 was so wrong.
What's a BS? Do they just keep going?
They just keep going. Like, there'd have to be 200. It'd have to be 200 before they stop, I reckon. Like everyone's probably got a different view, but on the Harley, I'm going to have a whole different perspective on the track to
For sure.
a bloke on a 500. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So I reckon it'd be close to 200 k's of whoops. 200 k's to when the whoops kind of petered out.
Yep.
But then they said it was a highway after 160. After all those people, it was terrible. Like the corrugation just beat me. I had some really big really big holes.
Yeah.
And my right wrist honestly felt like the bones had come out me hand, like
Jeez.
it was that sore, and my fingers and my neck. So my neck from being crunched up, looking
that
forward
position.
for so long.
Yep.
I was riding along, like trying to look down slowly with my neck to stretch it, while still doing 80 plus k's an hour along a deep sand section, just because my neck was so sore. And then same thing with my wrist. I was trying to like sit down and just move my wrist for a second
Yep.
to get some movement in it. And I reckon I got bone bruising in my fingers from the
Still sore?
vibration. Still sore now. Yep. So if I grab a spanner or anything, it still hurts, you know? So we get through the last bit. They got like that last jump and stuff into Finke. I rolled over that and did a no-footer for the crowd, like
I'm done.
yeah, like I was knackered. There was no way I was getting airborne. And so pull into Finke. I blasted across the Finke line. I wish someone had that on video. I was flying. It's like a straight into Finke, you know? And pull in. I'm knackered. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I kind of left a little bit in the tank, probably after 200, so maybe 20 Ks.
Yep.
I kind of like, right, I'm 20 Ks from Finke. I need to sort of cool down, you know. I was actually coming into one corner, went from third, went to go into second, went into second, but then hit a bump, went to first.
Oh, jeez.
Locked up, went into the shrub, and then I just passed the guy, so he was behind me, and I didn't want to get back. Same thing. I kept having that the whole race, you know, like it was so hard to pass people that if they got back in front of you, then it's like, all right, I've got to set the clock again and work at it again, you know. So I'm hammering in the off field, come back on. Where I come back on, there was a massive drop. So I've just like jammed back on the track right in front of old mate and got going again. Like the whole race is full of that kind of stuff. Like the bumps I hit. So this gives you a perspective of how hard and how harsh the bumps are on the Harley.
Yep.
So I'm riding along. I would hit something that would hit me in the ass that hard. The dust in my goggles would float up and just like negatively float in my goggles and fall back down. So like it's like a car crash, you know, like if you imagine that.
Everything's just...
Yep. Yeah, it just float and fall. Like that would have happened over 5 times in the race. So that's feet off pegs, ass off seat. You're in the air. It's proper.
Yeah, you just... gravity. You're just floating through the air sort of thing.
Passenger. Yep. Feel like you're in space. So,
you know, 87 kilo rider with 300 kilo vessel just floating in the air, you know?
Yep, absolutely. Nuts. Oh, crazy. So, and there was heaps of people afterwards who were like, I seen you had a massive moment. Can't believe you saved it. That was like the...
Which one?
But it was like every person was saying that. So, got to Finke, pulled up. I'm like, sort of had 20 Ks to cool down. So I was knackered. Mainly my wrist and my hand and my fingers and my neck. And then pull in, Gav was there. Gav was the first person I saw.
Yep.
So straight away, he's already like, we need to get you back to camp. We need to get you water. I've ran out of water in my Camelback. Worked perfectly. Yep. Drank it all, which I would never do. That Soul Stream was a lifesaver.
Because there's something I was actually going to ask you, and we'll touch on it while we're talking about that. You've done a lot of trail riding and that as well.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm really bad for it. I come home, I take a 3 litre camel pack out. I come home with 2.8 litres.
Yep. Same.
Same?
Yep. Never drink it.
So you went through the whole thing?
Yep. That Soul Stream, I highly recommend it because that's the way. So you imagine if you could find a tick while you're riding to make you press the button.
Yeah.
So you're riding along and say it's every time you sit down, you get a beat in the ass that makes you stand up.
Yep.
I got a drink.
Yep.
So you just sort of set yourself a little weird tick.
Yep.
And then you're just drinking.
Yep.
So now you're hydrated the whole time.
It's good.
So I was hydrated when I got into Finke, you know, as good as I could have been. So take my helmet off. The few people are good on you, whatever, you know, like frothing. And then Craig Lowndes actually come up to me and he was pumped, like proper pumped.
Wow.
And so he's frothing on it, and Gavin took a photo with us and he gave like a mini sort of interview with me and Gav, and yeah, he loved it. He just thought I was a lunatic, you know, like, which was awesome. Like, I always say that, like the stuff I do is nothing compared to the stuff that those guys are doing. So to have someone of that caliber to think what I'm doing is cool is super cool to me, you know, like it's Craig Lowndes.
He's the pinnacle of his sport.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. So I always get super pumped on stuff like that.
Yep.
That it could be like now Craig Lowndes knows who I am, you know, like he come and spoke to me, and that's
he might come in here one day.
Well, who knows, you know, like, but even, it's just cool that someone that does something so extreme and at such a pinnacle thinks that something that I'm doing is stupid and cool and crazy, and
it's good.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's good. Like it is genuinely good, especially Craig Lowndes.
Yeah.
You know, like it's bloody the top of the sport for a long period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was super cool. So then...
Were you knackered?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Every part, like you've said about those parts, but you were just fatigued as well?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So my legs were on fire. So you got to remember I'm BMXing, pumping, pushing through all those whoops. So it's arguably 120 kilometres of whoops. So it's just say from here to Brisbane of whoops. So you just driven from Brisbane a day, like
maniac.
Your whole drive,
pumping
like a BMX rider.
Yep.
Yep.
On a 300 kilo bike.
Yep. Yep. So even like my legs have always been a weak point with training and riding and everything anyway. So Levi, when we were training, actually did like sort of a thing to smash my lower back and my legs. And he was kind of like, well, this is what you're going to have to endure. So it just is what it is. You kind of put the work in now. It's going to help later, you know?
How was your core?
Great. I seem to have good core.
Yeah.
So my core's always been pretty good. Like we did a planking thing. I can plank for like over 5 minutes, you know? Like
You're strong there. Yep.
Yeah. For some reason, my core's always been really good.
Yep.
I broke my back years ago right between my shoulder blades. Straight away, pretty much, once that corrugation started, that was very painful. So for the whole race, I had sharp, like a chicken bone being pressed into your lungs the whole way. Like, yeah, it's full
Things
on.
that pop out, hey, like the things that day-to-day life, you probably don't notice it.
No.
But that sort of environment's going to really, trigger it.
Yeah, I used to always get it running down Mount Coolum when I used to run Mount Coolum. Running down the hill, I used to get it. But that was it, and I hadn't done that in years. So I didn't even think that would be a factor. But I've obviously got like a part of a vertebrae. My vertebrae sort of all went to like popcorn.
Something floating around in there.
Something floating with a little bit of a sharp edge or something. That was actually painful, mate, like the whole way, like that was sore. So got to Finke, talked to everyone, did everything we had to do sort of right at the finish line.
Yep.
Or the halfway mark. And then went back to camp. So I doubled Gav to camp, and it's all like sandy little road and stuff. Like it's not like it's not hard, but you kind of got to.
You still got to think.
Have your wits about, getting back to camp. After riding that, you do anyway, Get back to camp, boys are onto it straight away. JD's got the bike, he's got pegs and everything ready in the ground, a little brace, he's got the bike set up. Instantly, he's like, "How are you? How you feeling? How's the bike? What do you need? This is what I need." Right, helps me get the gear off. Get some lollies into me, get everything happening, straight away, him, Gav, Robbo, everyone's just onto me, whatever I needed, was like, you first, you're good, I'm good, now the bike. So I got ungeared, got all that done, walked up, rang Jamie, and then I got all emotional talking to Jamie because...
So Jamie stayed in Alice?
Yep.
Yes.
So Jamie stayed in Alice with the old man and that.
Yep.
So they stayed there. So I rang Jamie, and straight away she was just so proud. And I'd passed 106 dirt bikes.
So what it was in the end?
Yeah.
Wow. Well done.
So I didn't know this, obviously.
106.
106. So the first call, I'm still emotional about it. The first call was Jamie, and she was like, you could just hear how proud she was. And then I was like, I just felt so good, like I felt like I'd done good for all of us, And then then I spoke to the girls. I just wanted to talk to the girls, even though Billy can't talk much, kind of grunts at you. But spoke to the girls, and Isla was just pumped for me, and she was so happy. And so then I had like a bit of a cry on the phone to them, and then this is a big deal for me, like it's I kind of always play it down, but if I didn't make Finke, I would have felt like I'd failed, so even make it halfway, I'm halfway there. I'm halfway to achieving
the total goal.
Something that I've put my family through for X amount of time, myself, my business, like it impacts everything. So if I can't do that, it's a lot of weight, mate. Like I said last time with America, no one expects anything of me. Like no one puts that weight onto me. It's just what I do to myself. So that was huge. So talking to Jamie, I was just ecstatic, mate. I was so happy. I felt like I was on top of the world, like I felt like I'd really kind of felt like I'd already done it, like I kind of felt like the monkey was half off my back, like regardless of what happens from here.
Yeah.
My wife's proud, kids are proud, I'm proud, like I've halfway.
You've done it. Yeah.
So I was wrapped on that. So anyway, we get off the phone, do all that, walk down. The guy pitted just across from us had a wheelie bin full of ice. So he had an ice bath set up.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So one of the boys already clued him up what I'd done, was doing, and blah, blah, blah. He was like, get him in the ice bath. He's going to need it. So I stripped down, get in the ice bath.
Have you done one before?
Yeah, years ago, training at a core strength in Maroochydore here.
Okay,
He used to do ice baths every now and then. We
right.
were training flat out years ago. And so hopping, that was terrible. Like the first time in, it's so bad. Like you hop in, like you see people do it, you're like, it can't be that bad. Just dunk yourself in and get it done, you know? Like you hop, I just bashed my body like for 3 hours, 18 minutes it took me. So it was 3 hours and 18 minutes of torture. And then you tell me I got to hop in an ice bath.
Torture more.
Yeah. So, because your mind's kind of clicking different, you know? Like, if you kind of just hop, you've only been, like, you've got no torture you've been through, you can kind of hop in and get it done. But if you need an ice bath, it's because you've gone through torture of whatever it is. So you've kind of already got that plan.
Yep.
So I've been there, get the first stint done, get out, maybe last couple of minutes, get out, dry off, get warm, and then get back in, do it again, same thing. So after I did the ice baths, I was ready to hop back on my bike and go again.
Really?
Yep.
Helped that much?
Yep. The difference was huge. Like, I was like, before, and then that was done, and I was like, I'm good to go.
Yep.
Like, sign me up. Like, is the bike ready? Let's go. Like, I'm ready. I'm pumped. I've spoke to the missus. I've got my emotions out. I've gotten the ice bath. I feel recovered. I feel ready.
Like a reset.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So we start eating, doing all that kind of stuff, get all that done, and then get some anti-inflammatories and stuff happening for my body.
Yep.
So we had like stuff there for anything.
Yep.
So I told everyone right from the start, I would finish that race with a bone hanging out, you know, like I was finishing the race,
yep,
no matter what. So we were prepared at that end for a bone hanging out pretty much, you know, like, so we had anywhere from like, just like over the counter drugs for a headache to a bone hanging out.
Yep.
So I've grabbed what I thought was my anti-inflammatories, accidentally grabbed the wrong ones. I don't take drugs, period. Like,
yep,
I don't like taking Panadol unless I really need it, you know? Like, if I take Panadol, Jamie's like, oh, you must be in some pain, you know?
Yep.
And so I accidentally took 2 oxys.
Oh, no.
And I'd never had oxy unless I was getting a surgery or something.
So you're fatigued?
I'm fatigued. I'm like, everything's going like, so... And it's so embarrassing because it sounds dumb to grab the wrong stuff, you know,
yep,
but...
When you don't take stuff either.
Yeah, like
grab...
and it was my fault, mate. I just
yep,
grabbed the wrong stuff. It is what it is. So so I take these 2 oxys and a tramadol or whatever it is, a slow release one. I thought was same thing. I thought it was a slow release.
Yeah.
While sleeping, the anti-inflammatory to work. They're tiny little pills, those oxy pills. I'd never even seen one.
Yeah.
So I was like, I take 2 of them, I take a slow release one, because I kind of wrote it all out, what was what, you know, but it kind of just got jumbled around.
Have a good sleep, I'll be fresh.
Yeah,
that's
yep,
the thoughts.
exactly.
Yep.
Like I didn't even want Panadol, because I didn't want Panadol, I just wanted anti-inflammatories.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I wanted, you know, like Nurofen. Anyway, because that's kind of like no brand stuff. And then, so I start tripping balls proper.
Really?
Yep.
On a Sunday night?
Yeah. Like, so I've never been high before.
Yep.
Like, so I proper start tripping balls. Every time I close my eyes, a movie's playing, and it's going like, and it's shuddering, and I can hear the shudder. Like, I can hear the shudder in my mind, and I'm freaking out.
In one of the most remote parts of Australia.
And for someone that's like, I'm tripping balls,
yeah,
and I get that the trip obviously runs off however you're acting. I understand that, but I'm freaking out.
Yeah, the logical part's there, but
yeah,
still stuff happening.
Freaking,
yep,
mate. So next, I'm smashing oranges, and I'm walking, and I'm sculling water, and I'm vomiting everywhere. Like, so anything I've put in, I'm now getting out. Like, I'm throwing up.
All your hydration, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it's super embarrassing, man. It sounds super dumb. I wasn't actually going to bring it up, but like, it sounds dumb for someone to mix that up. But you got to remember, I'm like proper clean skinned, retarded at that stuff. Like,
yep,
like people like in the street or when we're out or whatever can be off their dial. I don't even realise I'm that naive to it.
Yep.
I'm stupid about it. You know, I'm proper dumb in that world.
Yep.
So, so I'm tripping ball. I'm walking everywhere. I'm walking around. I'm trying to like get it out of my system, you know, like if I start to feel sick, I'm throwing the fingers down, I'm trying to get it out. Like, so finally, after a few hours, it all kind of chills out. I'm straight to bed. I get some more food into me, straight to bed. Take 1.5 litres of water with me to bed.
Yeah.
So I sleep on top of the Daimler truck. So Daimler truck's got the tent on top.
Yep.
All I put in was a sleeping bag and a pillow. That's it. The thing was that comfortable. It's massive in there, like comfy as. It was brilliant.
Didn't freeze?
Nah.
Perfect.
The sleeping bag I had was like minus 15 or something. You know, like we went and geared up before we left. So got all that sorted. Drank the 1.5 litres. JD, middle of the night, I could hear him work, and I can't remember. I was semi-asleep. I could hear him work, and I was like, "You all right, JD?" He's like, "Yeah, you got water?" I'm like, "Oh, no, I drank it, but I'm fine." He put another 1.5 in with me.
Yeah.
So I ended up drinking almost all of that as well. So through the night, I drank 2 to 2.5 litres worth of water, you know?
Damn.
So, and I woke up with had a monster leak in the middle of the night, obviously. But I woke up good.
Yep.
So I woke up like, not waxy, not foggy, nothing.
I was going to say, were you worried that you were going to wake up a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was freaking out about. Like,
Yep.
I was proper stressed, mate. I was like, you got no idea how clean skid I am. Like, I hadn't had any beer, hadn't had any coffee. I'd been so good on the lead up.
Yep.
Like, so my body was like used to like good food and water.
Like as pure as it can be.
Yeah,
basically.
for me, like that's right.
Yep.
Like no soft drink, no like a bit of orange juice maybe. Like I was like
Coffee
and
4 months.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yep.
a big thing as well. Like all these things, all stimulants and that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So even getting off coffee that's a podcast in its own. That's crazy. Like I was having withdrawals and all kinds of shit off coffee, like nuts.
Wow.
My body was literally as clean as it could be, you know, as clean as my body been in my adult life, that's for sure, you know.
So did you feel the best you've like ever?
Yeah. Yep. Like, yeah, absolutely. Yep. Like, especially in the last probably 8-10 years, for sure.
Wow.
The mind, everything, like eating good,
Yep.
exercising, it's really good. The clarity that comes with that, it's unreal. Yeah, we all do the same thing. I'm never going to sit here and pledge to people to do one thing or the other because I was eating pies and caramel tarts and, 10 plus shots of coffee a day. So everyone does their thing. But yeah, it was way, way better. Yeah, I'll try my best to keep it up.
Man, it's like when we first got here this morning.
Yeah.
First thing I did was say, "Do you want a coffee, mate?"
Yeah.
And I knew you liked coffee, so
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that you're off it in 4 months. Well done. That's it's
Yeah, it was huge.
because it is an addiction.
Massive addiction.
You know?
The withdrawals I had, like I was at training,
Yep.
cowering in the corner, sweating, and like my jaw was caning, headache, foggy, like proper looking like a cracky. Yep.
From
Yep.
coffee.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the most legal thing, like it's on every corner.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's only because they can make money out of it.
Yeah, that's it.
But like I said, I would never harp on it. Everyone do you.
Do your own thing.
Yeah. And anything, it's like anything. Everything in moderation is probably not a bad thing, you know?
For sure.
Yeah. Always said I'd get back on coffee too. I don't think I will.
Really?
Nah, I tried some the other day. Not a fan.
Past it?
Yeah.
It's funny like that. I think it is an acquired taste.
Yep.
I really do. I think like the first time you try it, probably like beer,
Yeah,
to be
we
honest.
force ourselves into it.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
you know,
for
and
sure.
the first beer, you're like, don't know too much about this, and then it sort of changes.
Dad drinks it, are going to have to drink it.
Yeah,
100%.
It's a cultural thing.
100%.
So Saturday night, you've camped out, you've got
Sunday
up.
night, yep.
Sunday night for
Yep.
Monday's racing. It's weird having racing on a Monday.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah, and then
so
what happens in the?
what-
How's everything go on Monday?
Good. Yep, really good. And like the Finke Desert Race put on food and everything that night. So we ate
do
some
they?
of that plus our own food.
Yeah.
And then, woke up, felt good.
Yeah.
Ready to rock and roll. And then kind of weird in the morning because you're there. You know, you can hear the truck starting to leave. So that's when everything sort of starts to kick off. People are all through the night, people are working. So there's people working on buggies and bikes, and you can hear things starting and stopping, and because they've broken so much stuff or whatever, you know.
Yep.
So there's people that their vehicle can't make the next day, so they're trying to get it ready to make the next day again, you know.
Wow.
Like, so the track is so grueling. Like, there was a flatbed truck full of dirt bikes. There's like a little graveyard on the truck.
Wow.
Snapped bars, snapped front ends, like all the arse end of them off. Like, it's a grueling, super hard race. For anyone that doesn't like, even as a motorcycle rider or not, it's like I said, it's not that technical like a single trail, but it's the most grueling race I've ever done by a long way. Like, it just doesn't stop. It's your machinery is just getting beaten for 3 hours and 18 minutes constantly. You do not get a break.
Yep.
You do not get a second. So everyone's machinery is the same. So whatever their machinery is just getting beaten for 230 kilometres like it never has before. So all night, that's all everyone's doing is fixing bikes, changing things, checking things. Like, they don't want to leave the next day for a 230K leg and have one little bolt hold them up. So everyone's checking their bolts, changing bolts, whatever. Checking shit with their motors and everything. Changing oils, the works, and air filters. So, yeah, in the morning, there's people still sort of clambering to get finished. Some people may not have even slept, you know.
Wow.
And then, and there's people lending a hand everywhere. Like, it's a really cool atmosphere. But, yeah, kind of weird in the morning because you know you got a big leg. You're kind of waiting for it all to kick off. The cars are going. The cars get going. Everything starts to kick into gear a bit more. You're having brekkie, stretching, rolling, getting things happening again. And then it went really strange. So kind of got, because I was same thing. I was a lot further up the order than I was the day before, but I didn't want to sit in the sun.
So, okay, yeah, that's something I was going to ask you. So your starting spot is from Sunday's finishing spot,
time.
isn't it?
Yes,
that's
exactly.
Right, hey?
So I'm 106 positions further up the grid than I was leaving Alice.
Damn.
Yeah. So, but still, like, there was, I think that's 380th roundabouts.
Yep.
So I still knew there was 380 bikes that had to leave before me. So I wasn't going to run up there and sit in the sun and wait. I just chilled at the camp, waiting. Next minute, there's sort of no one around, but no bikes left. It's a long time. Like, surely something's got to happen soon, you know? Waiting. Oh, I'll go up and have a look anyway. We've been sitting there for hours. So I got up and had a look. That's when I got the information that a spectator had died. Buggy had, not the buggy's fault at all, buggy racing incident, come over a crest. As far as I know, kind of dove the front in a little bit, kind of lost control and speared off the track. Fine, no problem. But their crowd, like I said, is just lined across the track, and it's towards the end of the track as well, on the way home. And so it's close to Alice. There is a lot of people, like bucket loads of people. It's kind of what makes the race, is they're just insane, you know? They're right on that edge of that track. And so there's been a death there, and straight away, like, obviously, no matter what happens with the race or whatever, that's where everyone's mindset goes. Like, no one wants to hear that. No, like, the poor person is on the side of the track just watching the race. I think as bad, the poor people in the car
For sure.
have now just killed someone when they're just trying to race as well, you know?
Yeah.
So that's all going through now. It's everyone's kind of scampering everywhere. No one really knows what to do. All the organisers don't know what to do. They're kind of waiting on word because now it's a crime scene. Like, how are they going to get these 600 motorcyclists back that don't have rego? So we can't ride the service road because there's no registration.
Oh, geez. Yeah, of course.
So,
because it's a permitted road.
yeah. So now they've got to get us all back on the track somehow. But they're trying to find out, like, okay, do we send them on the service road because it's a special circumstance or something, I guess? You know, like, they're trying to work all that out, whatever it was they were working out. So they did a great job there. And we're running out of time. So it's a long ride back. So the sun's going to come down eventually. So no one wants to ride at night.
No.
So and
cold and night.
Yeah. So what they did was they lined everyone up in groups of 50.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. So 50 bikes
In one hit?
at a time heading back.
Not on the service road?
On the track, yeah. So right or wrong, who knows, you know? Like, they had to get all these bikes back in a certain amount of time. It's probably the only way to get all those bikes back. The dust is bad with 5. 50. So, and like I say, I'm not taking a dig at them or anything because they've done exactly what they're Like they've done the best that they can do.
Situations change.
Exactly.
Situations.
Exactly. So, and on a dirt bike, you can probably do 20 Ks an hour and just make your way through. It probably doesn't matter. I can't really go under 60 in that deep sand because the bike will just fall over. It will just bury itself and fall over. Like it just won't do it. On the corners and stuff, it can because it's kind of the sand doesn't get as deep. But for a long period of time, it won't work. So I'm freaking out. I'm thinking this is going to be... So, and the race is cancelled. So the race is also cancelled.
So you know the race is cancelled before you leave?
Yes.
Okay.
So whatever... We haven't even asked at this... Like, I'm not sure at this point what the result's going to be, or is it just all canned or anything? It doesn't really matter at this point, right? So the race is cancelled. So it's a trail ride home. But my trail ride speed on a Harley and David Walsh's trail ride speed are obviously going to be, and then everyone else in between that, are totally different levels.
For sure.
And there's still going to be people racing. Like, let's face it, you've got 600 people on motorcycles that are all... We're all going to race.
Middle of the desert made the trip of their lifetime out to there.
Yeah, so they're all going to give it hell on the way home. So that made it really hard. So there was people flying past, then there was people you were catching. In the first kilometre, I actually almost killed 2 blokes. So they crashed because you can't see. So they've crashed. I can't see they've crashed. Next minute, I'm missing helmets by... Like, I'm wincing. That's how close I am. I'm wincing. Oh, I think I'm going to hit them, like...
Mate, and you don't have the manoeuvrability of, like we were saying from the start of... from prologue, like that section of the prologue track. You don't have the manoeuvrability of being able to just duck out of the way.
Especially in the sand.
Damn.
You need to set, like, angles just to manoeuvre the bike, You can't just whip it. So I start... Like, I'm like, this is not good, This is not good at all. So... Then we probably weren't allowed to, but it is what it is. We popped on the service road for bits and pieces. We'd pop on the service road, no dust. The service road's terrible. Like, don't think for a second we're getting out scot-free here. Like, it's not a road. So we'd rip along there. Then me and Rossi just sort of linked up, and then we'd pop back onto the track. And pop back on the service. Like, we just caught a swap and change, and depending on there was heaps of people on the service road, Like, we'd get, as long as we went through the checkpoints, we made sure we went through all the checkpoints so that the transponder clicked so they knew where we were.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And even there, they're like, we're not going to tell you how to get back, just make sure you go through a checkpoint. They knew the situation, Like I say, probably not meant to be there. My bike's registered anyway, so...
Realistically, you're fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So... that, like, there was heaps of obstacles in that, mate. That was just, honestly think for the Harley, it's probably safer to jump out of a plane and pack your own parachute, Like, the just the carnage and the people, but it was awesome. We pulled up at which is now our first fuel stop on the way home, which is the 160 where Dan the Man is. Had a beer each, so only one beer, and had a beer, cruise, talk some shit, because it's done now. Like,
it's a free-for-all, isn't it?
Yeah, so it kind of changed the whole thing. Me and Rossi had a blast, but cruising along, like, ginning around, and but we've never really actually just rode together like that, Like, we're always racing each other. So
like just a trail ride, isn't it?
Yeah, so that was super fun, just being dills, Like, found a little concrete culvert, did a little skid, and so we were just having fun. And then got back to 80 Ks. From 80 K, like, we were popping on and off, but at 80 Ks, we popped on the track and stayed on the track from there. And then, mate, my wrist was killing me. Like, the service road's got some big holes in it, and you can't see them at all.
Wow.
And because they're just like dust from cars and stuff, it's like just looks flat. And then, so it's kind of an uneventful story on the way home, really. Pulled up the fuel stop, filled up that last fuel stop, rode the track the whole way back. Got into got into Alice. Same thing, kind of weird, Like, it's...
Weird vibe.
Yeah, you pull up. We've now done it. We've now gotten from Alice to Finke and back. It's kind of weighing on you. You haven't raced there and back. The bike did it. We did it. Yes, we hopped on the track, on the service road a few times, but anyone that's been out there, they know. It's no walk in the park swapping over. So... First thing I did, dumped the bike, sat on it, I had a beer.
Straight away.
Yeah, I think the first one I poured through my helmet. And then seen all the girls and everything, did all that. And then kind of me and Rossi just talked for a bit, chilled for a little bit. It's kind of done, mate. Like the presentation got cancelled. So it was like, it's kind of a shit ending, you know? Like
It's a bit hollow.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, kind of like all the work and the high of getting to Finke and like everything. Like now we get back and then it's just nothing, you know? Like, and it's selfish to go that way because, you know, it's been a massive tragedy, but it's just a very weird situation.
For sure.
Where, you know, you can't really describe.
What was, you know how when you went out to Finke, the
Yep.
crowds, the first 80Ks was hectic?
Yep.
Coming back that last 80K, were the people still there?
Yeah, there was kind of, same thing. Like, I
Or
don't
were
think
they
some of the
scattered?
crowd really knew either.
Because there's no reception in a lot of spots too, I believe.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
wouldn't know. So, yeah, they were. But you could sort of see they're probably not making sense of it. Like,
What's going on here?
they're not raced. Like, there would be people that are fast way, way back. And, like,
Yep.
people, like, it just wouldn't have made any sense, you know? So, it definitely was still people cheering and everything, but
Yep.
it was a little bit different. Probably
Yeah.
mainly in my helmet, but
Yep.
different vibe for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they were all, they weren't clowning around, like on the track or nothing?
There were spots where people were, mainly on the first day. And then, and I guess that's the problem, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's part of, you know, it had to happen eventually.
Yes, yeah.
It's hard because it was the best. Like, it's the best atmosphere and
For
it's
sure.
just a tragedy. It's a one-off tragedy.
Yep.
So it's real. I'm all for them being like right on the edge of the track and all that was great, but probably, you know, they probably shouldn't be.
Be a bit sensible about
Yeah,
it.
probably shouldn't be like. I don't know. I don't know how they fix that, mate. I don't know.
I think you think along the same lines as me as well. I'm a person that's against cancel culture.
Yep.
I'm against people cancelling events or cancelling things because of that.
Yep.
You impose a risk on yourself.
Yep.
And you go, okay, I've taken that. That is my own thing.
Yep.
But make a safe judgment of where I should be.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
that's it. Because the trouble is, someone externally listen to this or look at the event and go, oh, look at all these people. No, they've taken their own on themselves, and
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
you can't
yeah.
go cancelling things for.
If you're standing a couple of feet away from a trophy truck that's doing 150 k's an hour,
sure.
and you don't assess the risk
You don't
for yourself,
understand. Yeah.
whoa, yeah.
Did
You
you see
have
that
to,
video
surely.
that Toby put up?
Yeah,
Like, mate, that's.
the little kid.
I didn't see the kid one. I don't think, but it was a guy in like a pink suit.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yep.
And like that is. Everyone's spectating here.
Yeah.
And then someone takes it 3 meters out to here.
Yep.
That's a different story. You know, like
Yep.
that's different. You know, and
Yep.
I seen that and I'm like, wow, that is crazy. You know,
And what's weird, like the guy that got done, he's a photographer. He was in a bad spot, yes.
Okay, yep.
But it's not like he was on the track drunk being an idiot.
Yep.
So that just shows that, yeah, that guy's taken an even bigger risk.
Yes.
But it's a one-off. Like it's a racing incident.
An accident or
It's
incident.
an accident.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a super hard one, mate. There's no real. I don't think there's an answer for it
Yep.
or anything, or like
No.
you can't really have an opinion on it. It
No.
just is what
It's an
it is.
accident.
Yeah,
Condolences to
100%.
him and his family and
Yep.
the people involved in that event.
Yep.
And it's a very difficult situation, but it's
Yeah.
an incident that did happen.
Absolutely, and shout out to the whole committee of the race getting us all back and everything.
Yep.
Like people were turning up and it was dark. So if they hadn't have sent people in 50s, what time will we get in?
Wow.
You don't know, you know. That's
So what
I
time did you
mean.
get back?
I'm not sure. Maybe like 5 o'clock.
See, it would have
something
been
like
getting dark for you then.
Yeah.
Especially
It was
like you're in the
starting
middle of winter, you know?
Yep, it was starting to go down.
Damn.
Yeah, the one thing as well, even riding in the dust, Dirty Tricks give me one of those headlights, those bug eye style
yeah?
headlights. The thing is that bright.
Are they're next around
Yep,
the corner? hey?
just next door. Yep.
Yeah, cool. Yep.
So the thing was that bright, made
Yep.
just a difference, especially riding on the service road. If there was a car coming the other way,
Yep.
they could see my light through the dust. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just little stuff like that. Yeah.
What a journey.
Crazy. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's one other question with it. You're a mechanic. You're
Yep.
a hands-on person with it. You build your own bikes. You do everything yourself.
Yep.
How was it taking the back seat?
Good.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I actually did. Like, it was really cool. I think as well because I put so much faith in JD and Gav and that, you
Yep.
know, like I knew I was in good hands. Talking with them, like they had nothing but my best interest at heart. Like,
They cared.
I was literally, like I said, JD would be slaving on it, and Gavin as well, you know, like, but I would be able to do my job, go home to my family, do life as normal.
Yep.
And it was just happening in the background kind of thing.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was good.
Because it's a different step, you know, especially when you're a hands-on person, you do your own stuff. It's a different thing to do.
Mate, and like I always say, the team we have, it makes it so easy so that I trust every single person out there with my life, no worries whatsoever, you know. So realistically, it's probably safe for them doing such a long, grueling process because they're not pulled off to talk to someone or answer a phone call or do this little job or whatever, you know. Like, so it realistically, it'd be a safer option.
What would you change?
I'll do it next year on my other sporty.
You will do it on a sporty?
Yeah, that, and I would probably get more people involved because they're very expensive. So I just want to do it on my own back. Like I said, I was a little bit down on myself after, not down, but spewing after the States, that not getting into X Games. So, and like, I just didn't want any of that, you know. So, like, I had bell helmets, carbon helmet. Like I said, my neck was sore. Imagine with a heavy helmet.
Absolutely.
So, carbon helmet through Bell was a big game changer for me. I couldn't, you know, Bell's been great to me, so I couldn't pass that up. And then just like obviously rock suspension, doing all suspension, stuff like that. And then Joshy doing the stickers and stuff like that. So
Ride Design Co.
Yep, thank you. I had full mind blank then. The stickers look great. Like, the bike looks so badass. Looks real, what I thought, you know, Seth would ride type
Pays
deal.
homage to its history.
That's the perfect word. Yeah, exactly. So, and then Dirty Tricks with the headlight, and then us, you know, like, so, and obviously Gav. Yeah, man. So the next time I would get a lot more people on board for sure, just to help offset that expense, because it was expensive, mate. Like, anyone that's done it knows the travel, the fuel, all the little stuff you wouldn't think of, accommodation for everybody, like, it all adds up so quick.
Would you moteled it the whole time?
So, because we flew,
and
that was another expense.
Yeah.
So it's almost $1,000 a ticket per person. And then we stayed in Big Four.
Okay.
In
the van park?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yep, just stayed in like the rooms, you know, like the bungalows or whatever they are. So that was sick. But yeah, that'd be one thing. Like, you could do it a lot cheaper, obviously, but I kind of need a team with a Harley. I can't do the club fuel stops because I need someone there. If something's broken, I need it fixed.
For sure.
You know, so we took tools to every fuel stop and like little packs of everything, you know, so spares and... So, yeah, to do club fuel stops on a Harley is probably not ideal.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, you'd really want to maintain your machinery if you did. But, yeah, apart from that, I would do it on my other bike, do it on the other sporty. Yeah, that would be it. I'd do the same thing, same crew, same people. Yeah.
Tell me, tyre. Did you do tyre each way or to make the...
No, I haven't changed those tyres since I rode the bike.
No way.
100%. They're the same tyres.
That are on there even today?
Yep. Since I started riding the bikes, they're the first tyres we put on.
Unreal.
Yeah.
300 kilos, a bit of horsepower.
Yeah. Yep.
That terrain.
Yep. Because the sand's not that hard on them, and not at the pace I was riding it at, you know what I mean? That's where it comes in. Like, I'm not hitting shit the way the guys on the KDMs and that. When we got to Finke, a guy on a KDM come up to me, KDM 500, older fella.
Yep.
He come up, he's like, I had to find you. He goes, I was ripping along, he's doing about 90 Ks an hour, he said, in this deep sand.
Yep.
Good speed, feeling good. I would have passed him way over 100 Ks an hour. He said I just blasted past him like he was standing still. And he was like, that is great, but also... He's like stoked, but he was also like, damn it, I've just been passed by Harley.
In my terrain.
Yeah, so, and I was kind of like, I was probably a little bit rude to some people, like blasting across especially if I thought there was any corners.
Yep.
I'd try and dust them out.
Yep.
Because I didn't want them to get me back on the corner and then I had to work back at it and all that kind of stuff, you know? Like,
makes sense.
There's a lot that goes into it, mate. And if the wind was blowing it this way, I would be that way. And then the track would change, so the wind would blow it the other way, so I'd be that way. Like, yeah.
That sort of touches on your smarts. Like you said a couple of hours ago now.
Yep.
You got some smarts about you as well that thinking of that sort of stuff because, man, you put all that much work into that spot and then the next thing you get taken in the next little section.
Yep.
Do your head in.
I really didn't want to hurt anyone in a corner either or get hurt, you know. One guy in a yellow flag section, literally, yellow flag section, ran into me.
Hit you.
From behind. Ran into me as we were turning. I just looked back at him. I'm thinking, like, it could be all over because you're a dumbass, you know? Like,
stupid move. Yeah.
In a yellow flag section. Like, we're sitting in the top 400.
Yeah.
Relax, mate.
Yeah, take it.
You're not going to win it here. Like,
people, they just don't understand
but
sometimes.
apart from that, I had no issues.
No?
No issues, no.
You know the offs you had?
Yes.
Did you hurt yourself at all?
Yeah, like, nah. Sore, but nah.
Nothing bad.
Nothing bad. Like I said, because I'd worked up so much in my mind of what I was prepared to do.
Yeah.
Nah.
Nah.
I was prepared to take serious damage. I was finishing that race, rain, hail, or shine, like it was going to happen.
It's on.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
So I've got 2 more things on my bucket list, which is ice racing.
Yep.
So I really want to do like a Jamaican bobsled style thing, like train for it in the hot Sunshine Coast and then go to ice, you know. And then I really want to race Isle of Man.
Yeah, right.
On a Harley, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't try not to say it to too many people because it's like the most dangerous, death-defying thing in the world. But I really want to do it. I really want to do it on a bagger, I reckon. Yeah, because there's lower ranks and that of it. You got to hold one of their licenses for a year, so we're going to look into that towards the end of this year, start of next year, of how we do that.
Yep.
And then work out how we do that. So road racing's taken off, which is awesome with the Harleys here, and lots of blokes are doing it and that. Might not ever happen, mate, but you know what I'm like. I like to... Right now it might sound dumb and stupid and wild and out of this world. In 2 years, we might be sitting here.
Yeah.
Who
and
knows?
if you don't say it, it'll never happen.
Yeah, exactly. You know? So I really want... Like, I would love to get proper... I'd have to get proper people on board for that. You know, like it would have to be an actual factory style
for sure
operation. You know, because and now that I've said it, someone will probably do it. But and I hope they do. I just like doing things on Harleys no one else has done. People have raced Harleys on ice before, obviously. I just want to do that because it looks cool. It looks good fun. Big spikes on tyres.
Looks unreal. Yeah.
And I've been practicing my crawl in case I crash. And so I really want to do those 2 things. In what order I do them and when I do them, I don't know. But yeah, and then I think I'm done, mate. After that, you know, like I think I'm leave it to the young fellas. You know.
Have you been keeping track of the Bagger Racing League?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Mate, like when you're talking about you need a factory team.
Yeah.
Look at the money that's been invested into that.
Crazy.
Yeah. Like you dissect those bikes. And you think it's.
Me and Ralph were just talking about this morning. Like they've gone.
It's all out.
All out.
Full factory spec.
Absolutely. So, which is unreal. And you've got people that can really ride that are coming last. Like they've got like road race guys.
Yep.
And like I say, now that I've said it, someone will probably do Isle of Man with all this bagger stuff coming up as well. Someone, you know, it's probably already on someone's radar. But yeah, fingers crossed because you've got to hold one of their whatever country it is license for a year.
Yep.
So we're going to look into that and go see Ferg and see if he'll give me a bagger that I can go and destroy.
Jeez, imagine it over there.
Yeah, it would be awesome. So, but yeah, apart from that, not really much, mate. I've got to race Sultans of Slide this year. I'm really looking forward to that.
Be cool, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been putting a bit of work into that. But apart from that, cruise, do the family stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, heaps of little holidays with the family with the bikes. Yeah.
All
cruising.
in.
Yeah.
Mate, there was something I meant to ask you about one of the events as well, but it's completely lost my memory, mate. But
It's all good.
Proud of you. You nailed
Thank you,
it. You know, it's always good when people achieve something they say they're going to do.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And not everyone does it. So yeah, proud of you. You've nailed it,
mate. Thank you very much.
And thanks for being on show 47.
Sweet.
And number
Bloody
2
hell.
for you, mate.
Mate, we had that little one with the racing.
That's right. We did the hooligan one in the middle.
It's going great. I'm super proud of you, mate. You're doing really good. Yeah, I love listening to them, love watching them, so keep it up.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
That's all we have time for in today's show. If you get the time, head over to iTunes and give us a rating and a review. So once again, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week with another show.